Hello, good evening, FAMU. It's the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network. I'm Brian Fulford, and my co-host,
Eddie Kane Jr.
Slide on.
Marcus did COVID today. He just slid on in soon as he wasn't there. Then he was there.
No, yeah, exactly. No pause, no nothing. Marcus, good to see you. Thanks for making the pre-show meeting. Good to see you, brother.
I caught the tail end of it.
True that. Kelvin Roger, Marcus Green, Kelvin Roger. I'm Brian Fulford. Good evening, brothers. How you all doing tonight? Looking good. Everybody looking good, by the way.
Doing great.
All right.
Doing super.
You lies, all lies. Anyway, hey, it's good. Hey, it's good to be here with you guys. Want to thank everybody for jumping in and watching us, however you are watching us. So many different ways that people can consume this show. We're thankful for all of you listeners for joining in, whether you're watching us on YouTube, on the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page, or our O&G Strike Zone page. Or you might be watching us on Facebook, Black College Sports Network Facebook page, or the O&G Strike Zone Facebook page. You might even be watching us on Instagram. Shout out to the folks who are watching us live on Instagram. Or you could be picking us up on X. Those watching on X, known as Twitter, for all of us old school folks. And
Thread? We on Threads?
Not doing Threads yet. I don't know if there's a connection to Threads. No, not doing Threads, not doing Twitch. Soon to come, though. Soon to come. I'm working on all of that. LinkedIn, soon to come. We are also on mybcsn.net/watch if you want to watch us on the internet. So, man, do we have a show lined up for you today? I always feel like that we can't stay out of the news, so we just can't stop commenting. There's always something to talk about at FAMU or regarding FAMU. And, of course, I'm assuming everyone comes in to see what the brothers from FAMU who are all about FAMU have to say on things. You know, guys, I got to admit, it is kind of hard, and thankfully we have platforms where we don't have to do it, but it's hard biting your tongue on certain stories and certain things that happen throughout the course of the week when they happen in between our showtime. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel itchy sometimes. I get an itch when stories break during our 6 days in between show. How about you guys?
I'm kind of happy right now. I need it because what I would have said 3 days ago, it would have been too raw. So sometimes you need that time to kind of process things and to get a little more perspective instead of replying on real time, which I see a lot of, man. You know, people are jumping as soon as something comes out, they're jumping on whatever their narrative. People tend to kind of go to their corners and they only process what they disposition is previously. Right? They want to get to where they want to get to, and the truth don't matter. But we're gonna give you the truth.
Marcus, your thoughts? Care to share anything similar to that?
Very similar. Depends on the news. If it's something that requires a little more context and depth and investigation, yeah, I'm all for a little extra time to see what's going on. When it comes to recruiting, yeah, I want to jump on that as soon as possible. But other than that, I'm like, okay, let's see what else is. I learned my lesson from some things that happened way back on the MEAC fans board. Not jumping to conclusions or the first story that comes out.
Great point. Great point. We always learn from our experiences. Experience, a key word. Keyword. Save that keyword. Put that on the shelf. We're going to talk about that keyword today. But as we always like to do when we first get going here, before we get into any of the topics in the news that affects us Rattlers or surrounds us Rattlers, we like to say hello to those of you who jump in early. And nobody jumps in earlier than my man Bull that jumps in for jumping in already. Bull don't come in to just say hello. Bull come in already with
Shots fired.
shots fired right off. First one out the bag. We love you, Bull. Thank you, man. I'm gonna go ahead and start that one. We'll come back to that one a little bit later. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Alice Rosier.
Ken.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah. Subterfuge. Exactly. Jimmy Mack jumping in. That's prophetic there, Jimmy Mack. Well said. Melissa Wilson checking in.
Nah.
Amen. Marcus, good to see you, man.
Marcus.
I feel you, Marcus. When will it end? It doesn't end. It doesn't end, man. It's one story after another. One story after another, man. Ashton Harris, good to see you.
What's up, Ashton?
Checking in. B Starks coming in as well.
B
Good to see you.
Starks.
I can't miss my shout out to my brother Tony. You know,
Nah.
I get a call late at night and I missed the shout out for Tony. Tony, you know, I love you, Tony. Good to see you, man. Thanks for checking in. Demetri Alford, appreciate you coming
What's
in.
up, Demetri?
Hey. Kenya, good to see you, Kenya.
What's
Thanks
up, Kenya Sykes?
Thank you for always supporting the show. Meredith as well. How you doing, Meredith? We love you. Reggie Delane.
What's up, Reg?
Hey, that's all we've been saying, Reggie.
Running back, baby. Running back.
That's all we want. That's all the Rattlers. That's all Rattler Nation.
Just keep it simple, man. Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
We can afford running back.
Maybe we can afford that. Exactly. Chuck
we can afford that.
Monroe,
Go
Louisiana.
ahead.
Good evening, Chuck. How
What's
you doing,
up, Chuck?
Thanks for coming in. Dr. Lori comes in early.
What's up, Doc?
Here's your warning in advance, everybody. Dr. Lori is the moderator, so don't get out of hand. And Doc, let's not be so quick to send people into the penalty box. You know, let's allow a few checks to the wall, but as long as it doesn't get personal.
That's Brian, Doc. Do your thing, Doc. Do your thing. We ain't fair.
Good to see you. Watch JDTV coming in. Gotta keep that one in the toolbox. Yep. Mary 305, good to see you.
What's
Thanks
up,
for
Mary?
checking in. Let's see. Oh, EA coming in. EA is another one who likes to come in hot, man. EA don't sit back. He just come in firing shots already.
Yeah.
All right, EA. You want us to
We got
comment already. Man,
We got you.
we got you. We'll talk. We'll talk, EA. I started. I'll make sure we talk about it. Let me see who else is in here. James Austin.
What's up, James?
Yeah, I don't know, Kelvin. Are you in charge of naming a coach? Is that your job?
Man, I wish it was. It would have been wrapped up a week and a half ago.
Okay, just checking. Edwin Moore. Good evening. How you doing? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate the reminder. As Doc said, make sure to like the stream. We appreciate everyone in on Facebook, YouTube. Go and hit that thumbs up button right now if you would. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like button wherever you are watching our stream. We appreciate you. Got to give a happy birthday shout out to Miss Joanne. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Great
birthday.
picture of you and the family. I saw it on Instagram. Hope everybody's doing well out in Cali. Always appreciate you and the family jumping in and checking out the show. Let's see. Tamara T, here we go. Evening, champ. Good to see you.
What's up, champ?
Good to see you. Thanks for checking in.
Go and shout out that Aggie.
Hold on. Where's the Aggie? Where's he at? Is there an Aggie? Hold on. I don't want to miss people. Because, see, I miss people. I get in trouble when I jump too far down. Let me say, hey, to Hitman, 1887.
What's up,
Good to see you.
man?
Hey, we all tired, Hitman. We all tired. It's a lot of, but, you know, we got to stay in the fight. We got to stay in the fight, you know. Keep the dukes up. Derek Singleton, how you doing? Trying to keep up with y'all. All right, we appreciate you
What's
coming
up,
in.
Sip?
Yep. Jay Brown coming in. What up, champ? Good to see you, champ. All right, let's see. Oh, we got an Aggie in the house, huh?
What's
Band
up,
of
Aggie?
Okay, Aggie Pride for the ESPN HBCU band.
Y'all did pretty good too, man. You know, I ain't got no hate. Y'all were entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. Good job.
Y'all still ain't 100 though.
Hey, we waiting on the 100. We waiting on the Aggie and no, I'm sorry, we don't have A&T on the schedule. Sorry, I was gonna say that'd be a great show.
Hey, by the way, that's for those who don't know, that's Marcus' second alma mater, grad alma mater.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, you know it's all good. It's all good. You stuck to the HBCU family, so that's all good. Okay. Let's kind of get into it here.
Let Marcus go first.
Yeah, Marcus, what is your what? No, hey, look, I will. I'll say this. Hold on, let me make sure I get the right scrolls and everything going here because we appreciate all y'all. Just give y'all reminders here. Of course, y'all can donate to the show. You can be a part of the show. Hit us up any way you'd like to. If you're on YouTube, you can always hit the super chat. Coming up later in the show. So here's the lineup. I'll set the lineup. What we got going on today. Coming up at the bottom of this first hour, we're going to talk with gentlemen from the group called First Strike. And they are a group of Rattlers who are looking to make some financial contributions and even some structural improvements to FAMU, Bragg Stadium, and even we'll just leave it at that. We'll just say that's what they are in the market to do. And so we're going to find out about some of the proposals and initiatives that they are working and trying to work with our athletic department and university on to kind of find out more about this. And then at the top of hour two, we've been doing a lot of spring coaching conversations. 2 weeks ago, we talked to Coach G, a head coach of track, Coach Shoe from baseball, champions. Then we got a hold of Coach Patterson of softball, a future champion. Hey, first off, and shout outs to everybody who's contributed to the softball fundraising drive. I noted via Twitter that as of this afternoon, they were only $120 away from the goal of 10,000 with 5 days remaining. And I think if I were to go check in about an hour, that goal should have been hit because there was already some contributions after the tweet. So, so with that said, coming up in hour two, we're going to talk to another spring championship coach, Coach Nikki, Coach Houston. Of our FAMU tennis program. Find out what's going on. Find out they've got some initiatives they're trying to do. So it's good. We got to keep supporting our institutions, okay? Our programs, our championship programs. So that's what we do. We've shown that. We've shown that time and time over the last 3 weeks. We support our winning teams and winning programs, our winning student athletes. So that's not going to change tonight. When we get Coach Nikki on the show. And then, of course, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, man. We've got everything from basketball to football schedules out, coaching search out. But we got to talk on this bowling story. We got to talk bowling first. It's not always that bowling hits the front page of the news and the dailies, but it has. It has actually. And I will say this. And you guys have kids, and I know you deal with conflicts all the time. I teach, so I deal with kids all the time. And whenever you hear two sides of something, what I have learned is that there are three sides to every story. Okay. And that usually it's their side, their side, and then there's the truth, which kind of lies somewhere in the middle. You know, so that's why I like to say there's three sides to every story. So with that said, what we recently had was the story that was recently put forth by by
Various outlets.
I'm going to give outlets shout outs first off, but I'm gonna mention first off Shamora Johnson was the student. She's a bowler who first put out the Instagram story last week. Um, and hopefully, if you didn't, maybe you've already seen the story done by Scotty on Off Script. Maybe you even saw the Roland Martin story that it aired later that evening. If you pay attention to Roland Martin, maybe you even saw or read the article by Gerald Thomas, or even by I think Vaughn. Vaughn did an interview with parents of former bowlers. But this is an interesting, and I guess I don't want to rehash everything. I mean, we'll kind of get into some of the pointed things, but you know, here's Shamora Johnson, who is a third-year English major from out of Broward. She's a Bright Future Scholar, a Pell Grant recipient, a SWAC Commissioner's Honor Roll member, an AD Honor Roll member, Vice President of the FAMU Library Guild, right? All of these things, even a SWAC Bowler of the Week, right? All of these great things. And here's this post that she posts talking about how her heart is hurting for herself and her other teammates because of conflicts that she had with her coach, who is current coach. Why can't I think of coach's name right now? Help me out here.
Coach Howard.
Coach Howard, right. Her current coach, who we've had on the show. Lovely young lady, right? We had Coach Howard on the show. But obviously, there were some conflicts that occurred. And, you know, there were some pleas that were sent to various administrators, high-level administrators, that she just never got a reply or response to. And so I think she did what a lot of young people do in this day and age, which is they turn to social media. And in turning to social media, her story got picked up. So just imagine, had she never gone to social media with this, would it have ever been known? Would it have ever been told? So she had to control the story herself and tell her version of things. And what we heard, guys, was a bit troubling, a bit heartbreaking. I feel like in listening to it, it was avoidable in so many different areas. And I had, as I was trying to explain it to somebody, you know, somebody asked me, well, in all of this thing, was there a lack of leadership, or is there a lack of excellence with caring? How much of this were the students responsible? How much were they responsible for? How much were the adults responsible for? And I think about it, guys, and I say, yes, all in all. I think everybody had a part to play in this unfortunate story, which now has kind of even gone in a different direction because recently published by HBCU Gameday, making note of a current teammate of Shamora's, Eva Holmes, who disagreed with some of the allegations, some of the statements that were made, and she's still on the team. And so now you've got a second side to this whole thing. And there's still one side that's still remaining, Kelvin. Because I think in all of this, there is documentation, there's paperwork, there's emails, there's communication that still hasn't come out. And so when I look at this whole story, I it's sad in so many different ways. What's your take on this, Kelvin, as you kind of think about this whole story over the past week as you've observed it?
So I'm gonna try to stick with as much as possible, more facts and less opinion. So the ladies on the team aren't freshmen. They've been a part of our program at our university 2, 3, 4 years.
Right.
They have the highest GPAs in of all sports, and up until this new coach, there's no known issues with their character or behavior. Now, I'm someone who personally knows the previous coaches, the Browns,
Mm-hmm.
and both professionally and personally, and they only recruit high character kids and great students. I can't recall in their 12 years, I think it was 11, 12 years, they were
Right.
the bowling coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of one issue um, in terms of their student athletes. So those are at this point not disputable. Seem to be good kids, doing great in school, being very competitive bowlers, no issues. So that's fact one. Fact two. A lot of this will be easily dispelled with documentation. If people quit or scholarships were rescinded, the NCAA requires that they be, it be in writing. So, where's where's the written documentation? And I don't think you can force kids to quit. Saying if you walk out, then you quit. That's not quitting.
Doesn't work that
That's
way.
that's not quitting.
Oh,
So,
okay.
um, I understand that there's a person who's was a part of the team. The only now remember this, we're talking 4 ladies that have left the program who were
Right.
who were scholarship, who are not a part of the program. Let's put it that way. It's kind of easy to tell if they were registered for classes and were in their dorms at the beginning of the semester when the semester started, and were told that because they hadn't paid the scholarship hadn't paid for their dorm rooms or their classes, that they had to be dropped. That's all this is in systems. All this is in documents. So the truth, people, you say it's 2 sides, and then the truth is in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes there's a lie, and then there's the truth. So getting to the truth is going to be pretty easy. Here's another truth: the lack of leadership is glaring.
Mm.
Leadership doesn't allow for these things to become what they are now. You have parents who own record, and I ain't finna call nobody mama lie.
Hey,
I'm not finna do that.
hey, talk right there. That's truth.
Hey, I'm a parent of 3 girls, and I don't, I love them to death, but I'm not gonna lie for them, and I'm assuming most parents like me. So, you know, they come in, they come in giving their experience, and I have to listen to that. All right, you got another young lady today who came out. Well, she hasn't come out, frankly. She's at this point put something on social media, on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And from what I read, I kind of, I read between the lines. So she said she didn't agree, and there's things that, there was some disrespect, but she didn't say what it was. She wasn't specific. She didn't say what she was actually countering or what was the disrespect. I mean, and as a someone who's been in management or supervisory roles pretty much my whole entire professional career, typically when there's a behavioral issue, you have to document that. So along the lines, there should be documentation showing and saying that, hey, these disrespectful acts were happening, and if they continue, they could lead to XYZ. There should have been some kind of progressive discipline going on. So the fact that you haven't heard but one side ain't they fault. Everybody else got as you pointed out, in the day of social media, this is how things get out. People don't have to go to the news. There's no there's very little investigative journalism. And then we have an administration, frankly, a university administration that don't respond to any kind of crisis. We don't have crisis management. If you think about all the different scenarios in the athletic department over the last 3-4 years that have popped up, you never hear anything from our Dr. Robinson, Larry Robinson. That's on Larry. He's absent. So at the end of the day, I guess, I have my opinion and so forth but all I'm saying is, regardless of which side you fall on now, because we all don't have all the facts, there's documentation out there, and it's gonna come out. And I have a feeling how it's gonna come out. But until then, I'm laying it square on the lap of three people. Make it 4. The bowling coach, the head bowling coach, the sports administrator, which I've been, the AD, and the president. If anybody deserves to get it, they deserve to get it because it's their job. They're getting paid. They're supposed to be professionals. And they're missing in action. Period.
It was amazing to hear. And again, I take everything with a grain of salt, but it's amazing to hear people on the outside with their thoughts when the story first came out, not wanting to believe what was being said. And again, like you said, you can look at the credentials of who this young lady is, how she was recruited. You just talked about who recruited her. And at the same time, the parents of the other girls. And I'm just telling you, if you don't do nothing but listen to them, and you got people saying, well, I understand you want to believe the coach, and I understand the rule of engagement in college athletics, right? I get it. The coach is the law. The coach gets to say, yes, that was, and you know what? That was very much the case a long time ago, like 20, 25 years ago. It's a different day and age. And if we don't want to listen to, as I said, if y'all want us to listen to her, how do you not want to listen to them? Again, let me say that again for y'all who are out there fussing at us, FAMU people. Y'all on the outside want us to listen to her, but you don't want us to listen to them, our students. They are FAMU. Again, they are FAMU students. The students are FAMU. It's just as when we were students, we were FAMU. And they should be protected And no child should send no parent should send their child to school, even if it's for a sport, and have to endure what is been put out there. That's not what you sign up for. Excellence with caring. That's not on the student athlete experience brochure that FAMU promotes. So all of those ladies should be protected and cared for. And all of their stories should be heard, not ignored, not passed over, not rescheduled. That's the absence of leadership I think that Kelvin is hitting on right there. That is missing. Marcus took up a lot of time, and I know we're about to head to break. Would you care to get in anything here, or would you rather catch it on the flip side later in the show?
I'll catch it on the flip side.
Okay. I'll make sure to come to you as we come back to the topic. But we're going to pivot off of this and talk to the gentleman from the First Strike group coming up after the break. And we're going to find out about the financial contributions that they want to make or help FAMU realize with some significant things. So coming up on the other side, stay tuned. Don't go too far. Get a quick glass of water and come back. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com. All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin, it's a pleasure to have on with us right now. Oh, who did I just lose? I just lost somebody.
Andrew.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I just lost Andrew there. Let me make sure we get him back in. From the First Strike group, we're going to have up here in a second Andrew Whigham, who's the president of the First Strike group. And, I had him there for a second, but joining us also is Michael David. Michael is the marketing and promotions director for the group. Michael, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you well. I hope I said Andrew's last name correctly. I'd be kicking myself. I've been trying to figure out if I said it right. Did I say his last name correctly?
Yes, you did. And Andrew Whigham is a former SGA president, FAMU former SGA president.
Okay, okay, great. And I know he's working on his connection. We had him there and then we lost him. So while we're waiting on him to rejoin us, Michael, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll see if we get into talking about what is the First Strike group, and we'll kind of go from there, and then we'll get Andrew once he comes back in.
Right. I'm a Rattler, and First Strike consists of Rattlers, fans of FAMU, whom have come together to support FAMU athletics. And I want to say the great Kofi Hemingway was the inspiration behind First Strike. It was his insistence that brought us together. And right now we have about 31 members, all different age groups, all different occupations. And our goal, the mission statement of First Strike, is we are dedicated to and focused on the provision of new construction or renovation of athletic facilities at Florida A&M University to a best-in-class standard and to further national competitiveness and awareness of Florida A&M University. That's our mission statement. We want to focus on facilities. We feel that that's the missing piece. When you look at FAMU, we have outdated facilities. We have facilities that we all know need a lot of work. And all too often, when it comes to HBCUs, we rely on municipalities. We rely on local government, state government, federal government to come on in and rescue our facilities. Such has been the case with Bragg Stadium twice now. So our goal is to support FAMU athletics with a primary focus on facilities and to provide best-in-class facilities for multi-purpose use and for multi-purpose, multi-use, and commerciality. Right now, when you look at Bragg Stadium, just like the Lawson Center and other facilities, they're just dedicated to that specific sport. And when you look at athletics across the board at any level, they're multi-purpose and multi-use as a way to generate revenue. That's our focus. We've been working at this for a couple of years, and we're committed to make it happen.
All right, I think we've got Andrew back with us. Andrew, how are we doing this evening?
Well, good. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to have you on as well. So Michael was telling us a little bit about him and a little bit about the mission of First Strike. I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your background and First Strike as well.
Okay. Well, originally from Tampa, attended FAMU as well, and as aforementioned student body president during my day at FAMU. And I like to brag on this. My daughter also served as student body president a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So the apple didn't fall far from the tree.
There you go.
And so,
see going on there.
and I'm a second generation. Both of my parents attended FAMU. And one reason why we started this, because, you know, it's kind of like home cooking. We always thought the dish was the best when it came from home. And that's how I feel about FAMU. If we're going to get this thing cooking, we need to be the cookers ourselves, because nobody else is going to cook it like we can cook it.
Amen.
And that's how we came about, excited about just the opportunity to help FAMU get to the next level. I live out here in Dallas, Texas, so I know all those cowboy haters. I know we all right. We're all right. But, you know, being out here almost 30 years, I left Tallahassee and I was supposed to be here about 5 years, and actually made this my home now. You get kind of spoiled. You see things. You see high school stadiums, $60 million. And I mean, for communities around here, and it's a big thing. And we want to have the same ideals and principles for Tallahassee. And if we don't do it ourselves, nobody else will.
Well said. Well said. Go ahead, Kelvin.
So I'm interested to talk about a couple of initiatives, talk about a couple of things. How do we achieve what we're looking for in terms of facilities and events and so forth? Talk about, I know you all had a breakfast that you all did and talked with some of the DSO stakeholders. I know there's been some engagement with the university, but just kind of talk about some of your ideas.
All right.
Well-
One of the first things that we're thinking about, or we've talked about, is upgrading the facilities there at Bragg Memorial Stadium. As it was forementioned, the stadium, 1950s, the stadium went through the first renovation of early 80s. And then most recently, we got some new stadiums. But one thing that concerns me, and I always like to say things are bigger and better here in Texas, but you know what? It starts with us. And we just need to get things together. Our conditions at FAM, they're not bad, but they could be a whole lot better. And one being the restrooms. And I'm just telling you from a guy's perspective, you know, I found out why they have newspapers at the stalls in the men's restroom over the years. The concept means that you keep yourself focused. At the old Texas Stadium, they had troughs out there. And boy, you're talking about some fighting in the restroom because your mind should be focused on one particular thing. And then we need to just correct things at FAM. The infrastructure, is pretty much in place, but we have to bring things up to par. There's no reason why Florida State should have a first-class facility and we don't have a first-class facility. So we're going to have to do it ourselves.
Correct, President Whigham. And the idea is we're taking the north and south end zone, and we would like to add 6,000 seats. And these seats will be club seats, and also we want to add suites and cabanas so that we can offer premium prices and amenities to season ticket holders. So the goal is to install between the north and south end zone 6,000 club seats. And when you have a club seat, you have a premium space, which is called the club lounge, where you have the flat screen TVs, great foods, great amenities. And then we want to have suites. And so to that end, we've reached out for companies that can provide great suites using shipping containers. So we have a number of different suites we want to put in the end zone. And by doing this, it's going to give us to do what's called self-generated revenue. This is what all the schools are doing. This is what FSU does. This is what Central Florida does. University of Florida, all the system universities in the state of Florida and other universities use self-generated revenue to be able to afford facilities. And so a part of that is premium seat licensing. Former AD Milton Overton kind of had alluded to this about premium seat licensing. So what this would do, it demystifies how you pay for facilities. For instance, say it costs $50 million to renovate Bragg Stadium. $50 million. We'll say, well, where are we going to get that $50 million from? Well, it's about debt service. 4% of $50 million is $2 million. So what does that mean? We're going to offer our premium seats and spaces for $1,000, $2,000 for a season ticket holder. So in that case, we'll need 1,000 people to pay $2,000 or 2,000 to pay $1,000. But at the end of the day, that's $2 million. And you can meet debt service for the next 15 or 20 years, and you can afford to get your facility. And so along with that, providing great seating, we want to upgrade concessions, upgrade restrooms. FAMU is probably 50 years behind Florida State. 50 years behind Florida State. And the reason FAMU is 50 years behind Florida State is not what FAMU, the university, is doing. We, as Rattlers and boosters, are not doing our part. Yes, we know about giving. What we want to do is provide premium seating so people can purchase. Alumni, boosters, fans of FAMU will have great amenities to come and enjoy the game. Great food options. When you look at Bragg Stadium, food options are horrible. When you look at the restrooms, horrible. And yes, we received money to renovate Bragg, but it's a partial renovation, just like the one in the early 80s. It's basically, and I hate to say it this way because I love FAMU, lipstick on a pig. Lipstick on a pig. So we've come up with a way. It's nothing new. FSU is doing it right now. University of Central Florida is doing it. USF is going to build a brand new, University of South Florida is going to build a brand new stadium. And a lot of that is going to be based on self-generated revenue, premium seat licensing. And that's what we want to bring to FAMU. So we've outlined about 10 different facilities. Indoor practice facility, renovated Bragg Stadium, a dual softball baseball complex right there at One-ish Way, parking garage. Kofi Hemingway, his idea was a parking garage with the tennis courts on top. And why is that important? Because you're going to maximize your space. And you're going to turn a sport that doesn't really generate revenue into one that does because you got parking. Softball, baseball complex, just like they have at USF, multi-purpose, multi-use. So we want to introduce these ideas and put the promotions together and operate these spaces to maximize revenue from seating options, food and beverage options, parking. The total fan experience will be upgraded if we allow to make this happen. So we've been working at it. We met with key stakeholders on the FAMU executive side. And the challenge is this is something new and different to FAMU. We hear all the time, giving Saturday, giving Tuesday, giving. But the other side of it is let's implement best-in-class standards so we can get what we want. Lawson Center has great bones. It looks great from the outside, but the furniture, the grade of material on the inside is the lowest possible. And it's that way because there is no skin in the game. You have buildings on the campus of FAMU are not finished to this day, and they've been there for 15 years. Because we look to the municipality or the state, the federal government to step in and provide the funding. Where is the money coming from FAMU? And I'll leave you with this last example. In 2016 or 2017, FAMU awarded a contract to a group called Construct 2 out of Orlando, Florida, to build a 35,000 seat stadium. That was in 2016, 2017. That stadium is not going to happen. FAMU has any skin in the game. Construct 2 has moved on. You haven't heard anything about it. So what we're doing by introducing these 6,000 seats is called the intermediate step. It's semi-permanent, temporary, can be in place for 5 years or longer with maintenance. But it's going to give us that intermediate step so that we can one day get to that indoor practice facility. Our boys deserve that. We can get that softball, baseball complex. We can get that parking garage. We can get Lawson Center to have a kitchen. It doesn't even have a kitchen.
Wow.
So these are the things we're trying to do. People say, well, why don't you just build a new stadium? Why don't you just renovate Bragg Stadium? We have not done anything. So the idea is an intermediate step. It'll take, if we go to shipping container routes with the 6,000 club seats, it's a P3 and it's about a 180-day build process. So it can be put in place by the start of the season. But once FAMU agree, we could put the systems into place to immediately offer season ticket holders the opportunity to get a suite, to get a great club seat, and to have access to great amenities, climate control, great food options, mobile ordering. All of those things they're doing across the tracks, we can do. 180-day period. We have another system, which is a scaffolding and truss system. It's similar to the tenting system. The permitting process is different. It doesn't take as long to put that in place. But again, we'll have club seats. Our comparable is the University of Kansas. They did this. They're building a new stadium now, but we have been in communication with the same company that put their scaffolding and truss system in place. So all of these things are possible. In our meeting with FAMU, CFO, vice presidents, and a number of people, they say, hey, FAMU Athletics doesn't have any money. How are you going to do this? So we do have funding attached. We just need the green light. And I think the issue is FAMU does not trust. We get athletic directors, we get these athletic folk coming from PWI land. Now they got to come to HBCU land. And that's okay, but you got to listen to your environment. You got to learn your environment. And they're charged with handling the executive decisions of FAMU. NAAA is not, DSO is not, affinity groups is not. But what we're hoping to do is to unify all of these organizations and have one central theme. Let's help FAMU athletics. Let's do what FSU boosters do. Let's do what the Gator boosters do. Let's do what the Mark 12 program at University of Central Florida. We've researched all of them. We have the capacity to do it. We have the fan support. We have the alumni to do it. And First Strike consists of producers, promoters, a number of different people. We can come in and produce an event. We can come in and put the promotions together to really get surgical and engage the FAMU community for support. So that leads us to the next thing. Yes, First Strike is about seating, premium seating, concessions, and bringing Bragg Stadium, because football is the money generator, to best in class, so we can offer a great product to people who want to support FAMU athletics, particularly football. And so with that, right now we have an offer on the table for the August 31st game. And correct me, Brother Whigham, the August 31st game with FAMU and South Carolina State to be played in Jacksonville at Everbank Stadium. That's part of our goal to generate revenue for FAMU. So we have a $2 million commitment to FAMU athletics. $2 million. That's over a 5-year period, with FAMU being the home team. And we're having some challenges with that right now. It's a no, but we're working on it. And we're hoping that Rattler Nation can stand up and say, look, we just realized today FSU is playing a game that same weekend. You cannot get a hotel in Tallahassee the weekend of August 31st because FSU is playing that weekend. You look at homecoming, not going to be able to get a hotel room for homecoming because FSU is playing that day. So why do we have to play 5 home games? We know we're not maximizing our revenue from any standard when you look at what happens at Bragg Stadium. We're lacking all the key categories. We're not maximizing sales because we don't have enough promotions. We're not maximizing food and beverage because we don't have food and beverage. We're not maximizing parking in the way that it should be done. We don't have naming rights. We don't have sponsorships. So here it is, the city of Jacksonville wants a classic with FAMU. We put a solid offer on the table, and we have been essentially told, no, we're going to play 5 home games. No. So we're going to leave that $2 million deal out there. $350 this year, meals, travel, accommodations for football team, cheerleaders, and marching band. FAMU is the home team. FAMU is the rights holder, not South Carolina State. And right now, looking at what's coming down the hill, that first game is going to lack attendance. When Ken Riley, we started with Ken Riley, we used to do events with Ken Riley. He would say, Mike, we only need to play 3 games at home. First game, homecoming, and maybe one other game. And he took the show on the road. And here it is right now. We know FAMU. We've been around here 20, 30, 40, 50 years, some of us. And we have a deal on the table, $20 million, $350 this year, no consideration whatsoever. We have, and there's a second event we want to do. We want to take I think it's the November the 16th game with Valley. I think it's the last home game. We said, hey, let's take that game and do an on-campus classic. Let's make that game a money generator. It's a week game right now because it's the week or two before the Florida Classic. We're going to call it We Are Family Classic. And the idea is to invite everybody to the Hill, Florida State, Tallahassee Community College, government at all levels to come experience FAMU firsthand and engage. We're the friendly neighbors to the South. And there are a lot of people on the other side of the tracks that have never been on the South side. And we want to give everybody an opportunity, surrounding counties, to come to the Hill and experience what FAMU is about. And then from a government perspective, hey, you got new market tax credit money. Who handles those PICO dollars? What are those funds out there that are available to help us be more competitive from a facilities perspective? And our comparables are not HBCUs. Most HBCUs fall in the same category. They wait for somebody to give them the money. Our comparables are universities that make up the state system of Florida, particularly FSU, University of Florida, Central Florida, USF. They're wonderful comparables. So our goal is to generate monies for FAMU Athletics. You would think they would embrace it, but we're pushing hard. That game in Jacksonville will be a winner. Meeting with the city of Jacksonville, they say, what do you think the attendance would be? I said, we could do 30 to 40. They say, oh, really? Bethune was here with Jackson State. They did 20,000. They came here last year with, I think it was Southern, and they did a low teen number. What's the difference? I say the difference is this. FAMU is low drive time. South Carolina State is low drive time. But the most important ingredient in a classic, next to one of the teams being relevant, is the local population. Jacksonville greater area has 358,000 Black folk. But unlike Miami, who has 1.2 million, you got University of Miami sitting there playing games with FAMU, Bethune-Cookman. In Tampa, you got USF. Tampa Bay area has about 350,000, 400,000 Black folk, but USF, Bethune will be playing there this year. We'll be back there again. And then, of course, we're in Orlando, but when you look at Jacksonville, it's unencumbered. There is no competitor, none. So those are ideas, and we're just hoping that we can get a platform where we can bring relatives together to do more for Mother FAMU. It should not be up to solely FAMU Athletics to determine the direction of the university. We have power. We have power. And what happened 2 weeks ago or last week, how we generated that money in 3 days, that was significant because we came together. We can do the same thing, rallying around providing the best facilities, providing and supporting student athletes, and enhancing the fan experience. So that's our idea, guys.
Hey, Marcus, I want to give you a chance to get in. I know we're coming up against the break, so I want to give you a chance to get a question in here before we have to move to the break. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yes, and actually you answered a little bit of it. I was going to ask what was the interaction with the other DSO organizations and how you pull them to the table. But I guess what do you attribute? I guess that's one question. The other one is, to what do you attribute resistance to this, to either initiative, the initiative as it relates to the using the shipping containers, or the initiative for the Jacksonville game?
Okay, first question with the DSOs and affinity groups. It's been great because the idea is to get all the organizations selling premium seat licensing and receive some level of commission from it. So you mentioned the breakfast earlier. FAMU NAA President Curtis Johnson, we reached out for him and he got it immediately and helped coordinate.
We may have lost him, but the thing of getting everybody together, that was our thing. Even when the concept came together, how we can make this thing work for FAMU. We have been riding shotgun behind the other state schools Growing up in Tampa, when South Florida, I attended South Florida as a 10th grader in high school, and they had nothing. And they're to a point now where they are going to become a superpower there in the state of Florida. So we're going to have to take everything bull by the horns. I hate to use that analogy because it's South Florida, but that's what we need to do at FAMU. We can't wait on the state. We know we've been playing second and third fiddle all these years. And now I look at the power of this podcast. Now we've been out in the world. We know what's needed. We get people together. That's why we started the group, getting people with expertise in various areas, and see what we can do to bring all this talent back home. That's what we need to do.
Right. Let me just answer that last question. The DSO have been wonderful in Rattler boosters and moving to more of comparable like a FSU booster. They all know we need this. And then as far as the shipping containers versus the scaffolding, when we look at the shipping containers, it will provide much more permanent situation, although it's semi-permanent. And a lot, when you look at athletic facilities, a lot of them are using shipping containers. And so with that, it can be collateralized. When we look at our funding group, if they can come and get it, they'll fund it. So they can come and get that. They can come and get the club seats, and we're gonna pay for it, but that had a lot to do with it too. If you look at the scaffolding and trust system, a lot of that is rented, so it's harder to get that collateralized and get it financed. Although we'll have a period of time where we can certainly generate the revenue to pay for both of those situations. But so those two groups have been great. And then I think you had a third. Oh, the resistance, I think is new. We haven't seen an organization that's going to move to do what the other universities are doing: self-revenue generation, premium seat licensing, looking at ways to naming rights and getting all these things in place. And there's a trust factor. You have FAMU Athletics and their employees. They are charged to do a lot of these things. They are charged to do a lot of what we're talking about, but they're under-resourced financially, and they don't have the manpower. And so we're stepping up to take a lot of that and just trying to bridge that gap. And a lot of it's going to be connecting with FAMU just has a trust issue.
Right.
That's the biggest problem. We just have a big trust issue, but we're committed. We're going to work on this game, the Gateway Football Classic in Jacksonville, and hopefully there'll be a change of heart with that. If not, we got the We Are Family Classic. But we need to come together as Rattlers. And if anyone wants to join First Strike or be a part of what we're about, you can. We haven't put the website up yet, but we can certainly leave you with our email, and you can reach out for us. And we just want to partner, practice collectivism, practice our exceptionalism, so that we do the best for FAMU. That's what it is. We just want to take it to a different level.
And I wanted to ask, because I know there's a couple, before we head to the break, I know a couple people in the chat to ask some good questions. Now, your organization is not a DSO, correct?
No.
The question was, are you a registered DSO? You're not necessarily DSO. You are a for-profit company, or how would you describe what your entity is?
Right now, we are not a DSO. We are a for-profit LLC right now, and we're acting more in the capacity of an affinity group. And we're partnering with Rattler Boosters and the FAMU NAA and any of the affinity groups to move this mission forward. And that's the role we're in. So when we look at facilities generating monies for restricted funds for particular purposes, we have to partner with a Rattler Boosters who's a true DSO. We have to partner with FAMU NAA. So FAMU Athletics does not receive any funding from the university. It does not receive any funding from the state. is basically receives funds from 5 or 6 different organizations, that being the SWAC, that being FAMU NAA, 220 clubs, booster organizations. And so we're stepping up from a different perspective, but we want to engage, in which we're doing, all of these different affinity groups, not just the ones you know about. You have the Marching 100 alumni is an affinity group. You have the DM Club, an affinity group. And so we're looking at these different groups, whether it's football, whether it's basketball or baseball, these support organizations. And if we are implementing facilities that are going to deal with those different areas, we want to partner with them. We want to say, here's how you generate this revenue. Here's how you put together a sponsorship deck. Here's how you engage the state of Florida and address monies that they have available, whether that's Afro-T Cortillis matching funds or PICO. We need to take advantage of all of those areas, and we want to be that expert source to bring these things into fruition. So we'll partner with anybody for good.
Right. I want to, I know our time is short tonight, but I want to already extend an invitation to you guys, and hopefully if you're up to even sharing some of your visual vision, because you've given a great description, and I see a lot of people talking about, yes, thank you, a vision. But I mean, I also, with Rattlers, we want to see, and I think FAMU folks want to see, and it sounds great. But I think there definitely can be some added advantage. So I'm gonna already extend the invitation for next week if it's available to you guys or whenever you feel comfortable being able to share visuals of these things. But in the interim, Andrew, why don't you let people know how they can reach out to you and contact you if they want to be a part of First Strike, and then or any other means that people can find out how they can support.
Okay. And we'll start out. I'll give my personal. We're still working some things out as far as emails and everything. But I don't mind giving my personal email out. AW3 PQC at yahoo.com.
Okay. And I will, you can also send to First Strike, FIRST STRIKE 1987 at yahoo.com.
Okay.
And let me say this, Brian. Also, we're working on these things right now, and a big part of what we want to provide is transparency. And so we can get you the offer letters that have already been submitted to FAMU for everything that we talked about, from the Gateway Football Classic, high school jamborees, We Are Family Classic. We can email that. We'll get that to you tonight. And then we have a presentation deck and an overview deck that really lays out our plans for FAMU Athletics, the 10 facilities, what they cost, funding strategies, the whole 9 yards. We can get that. Also, we use comparables. We have renderings. We use those as our comparables, like what it would look like for the softball, baseball complex, or videos and things of what the north and south end zone would look like. So we can get you our presentation package, and we're working on this now. So we love what you guys are doing. Kofi Hemingway told us, look, you're going to have to go on ONG. We're going to have to not let this be a decision behind a closed, smoky door. He said that to us. That's what he told us. And I said, okay, we're going to have to do that. And so our transparency is 100%. And we want Rattler Nation to know these are possible. It's not impossible. Our facility costs $150 million. $150 million. But that's really 4% of $150 million is $6 million a year. Well, that's 3,000 people at $2,000 each for 15 to 20 years. Debt service. And that's without the consideration of food and beverage and parking and naming rights. That's just breaking it down to the nuts and bolts to make it digestible, reducing it to the ridiculous so that we know that we can accomplish it. So we'll get you all of that information within 24 hours. And we
Gotcha.
would really like to come back on the show next week because we have meetings with the city of Jacksonville. We meet with all the DSOs and affinity groups. And we have had conversations with AD Sykes and Rattler Nation. We're not here to beat her up. We're not here to beat up FAMU Athletics. We just want our voices to be heard as Rattlers, and we want to do our part to take FAMU to the next level. So we'll get you all of the information. You can post it, and then we can talk about it. But this is a work in progress right now.
Gotcha.
All of it right now.
All right. There it is, folks. First Strike Group. Again, you saw the email addresses. I'll make sure to put it back up again later on in the show in case you missed it. And we will have them back on. We're going to shoot for next week, and we'll be able to show you all some visuals and maybe get an update. And we'll even share some things during the course of the next few days to let people know as well. All right. So Andrew and Michael, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Time. Yes, for sure. And love the information. Sounds like a great plan, great vision. I'm glad that you guys decided to come on and share it with us.
All right. Thank you. See you next
First
week.
First Strike giving Rattlers something to brag about.
I love it. I love it. All right. All
One
right.
green every day.
Well said. All right. We're going to take a short break, come back. We've got our championship winning tennis coach, Coach Nikki, coming up on the other side of the break. And so, guys, hang in there. Don't go far. We're going to take a short break, come back. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network.
We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban NerdCon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, Gary Gray from Fairly Odd Parents, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, the Sci-Fi Sisters, and from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager, Tim Russ.
Hi, I'm Tim Russ. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for the Urban NerdCon. Our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone con. I'll see you there. Live long and prosper.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin. We got a champ in the house. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here.
Good evening. Good evening.
Coach Nikki, how you doing? Good evening, champ.
And good evening. Thank you again for inviting me into the show.
Hey, Coach, we couldn't get going, into this spring season too far without talking to you. What has life been like as a champ? You've been holding it down. I think, am I correct? Y'all were the first of 2023, right?
We was the first. and
who knew 2023 would be the year it was, And
awesome.
and tennis was the first program to get it done. So what's the last several months been like sitting on top of the hill the way the program has?
I'm not gonna lie, it's been awesome. Young ladies, I'm just still trying to calm them down a little bit. Still trying to calm them down from winning that championship. But doing those things, having those accomplishments, and then seeing the other teams behind us that have it has been so great for our program.
All right. Marcus, I'm gonna let you fire off and get the first serve in there to coach. You see what I did there? First serve.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Well, good evening, Coach, and congratulations once again on a banner 2023. I guess my question is, I've been looking at the roster. I noticed you have one less player than last year. What's the ideal roster size, and then going into the season, what's it going to be like being the hunted?
Yeah, so we usually carry eight ladies on the team. So we did lose one of our seniors that was a captain last year. They didn't get to play as much because of injuries, but we brought in a freshman from Brazil. So we're back to our 8 number that I like to carry on the team. And we told the young ladies, we are the hunted, and we can't go out there and not be prepared. So I just letting the young ladies know, like during practice, is like we got to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do, be prepared to any match that we're going into, so we be prepared for that SWAC tournament that will come up at the end of the semester.
Okay. Now, when did Miss Silva get added to the roster?
Yes, in January. She was a spring ad. Yeah.
Okay, because I don't remember seeing her like a week or 2 ago.
Yeah. She probably came up probably last week. So
okay,
the picture is done, and so they posted it probably the later part of last week.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
No problem.
Go ahead, Kay.
Coach, tell me about the fall. How did the fall season go? And then coming into the spring, I always say that iron sharpens iron. You had a very young team, but a very talented team, and they swept. They were undefeated pretty much, through all of the SWAC and the tournament. So have that success and that competitiveness, are you seeing that reflected in how they practice and understanding that there's a higher ceiling that they can get to?
Yeah, well, I'll start off with the first question with the fall tournament. We play about 4 to 5 tournaments for the fall. And the young ladies, this is more of an individual tournament. It's not a team. So the young ladies get to go out there and work on their game and see, where they are and what we need to focus on when they're coming back to practice. So I think it went very well this year. I also, we had a couple of times where people was getting sick or got injured, but fortunately everybody is healthy right now, and hopefully we can keep that going through the spring. But in the fall, I think we learned a lot about our own games and what we need to focus on. And like I told the young ladies when they first came back, I didn't feel like that we reached our potential last year. I think, our success was great. But I didn't feel like we reached our potential, being so young. And they all agreed. And when they agreed, that makes them go out there and work harder. These young ladies, before we even started practice, the week before we even started, was out there hitting on their own, hitting with each other. So they are still hungry for this season. And then that's what we want as coaches, is to make sure, they are still hungry. We can only do so much, but they got to put in that work.
Did you do anything different in terms of scheduling, knowing that you had a young but experienced team coming back?
No, our non-conference is always tough just in the region that we're in. So, we always going to play the tougher teams. And we'll make sure that we play tough teams so we can be ready and prepared for when the SWAC matches come up.
Coach, that's tough. That's a tough group of young ladies right there. Tell us a little bit about the growth of the roster. The freshmen are now sophomores. Maybe if you could go through some of the improvements that you've seen, or maybe just some things that you're hoping certain individuals make in the early part of the non-conference season.
Yeah, so like I said before, we're returning pretty much everybody from last year. And if we're talking about the young ladies that are pictured here, I'm expecting a lot from all of them. And, when we look from left to right on my screen, we start with Reagan, that was, most valuable player for the tournament last year, won the match point to win the championship. We're expecting her to get better, improve a little bit more on their doubles game, improve a little bit more with their singles, where it's, hitting more out on the ball. We're expecting more from her. She was a freshman. She'll be a sophomore this year. The next young lady will be Rebecca Gaines, who also was first team all SWAC, all SWAC, and then she was also on the tournament team as well. And she usually plays our number one. So, for some of the season, she was kind of out from allergic reaction, but I think she's ready, and she has certain goals that she wants to accomplish, and we're expecting her to do better this year as well. And she's also a freshman that went to a sophomore. And the one in the middle is Sarah Kim. She was an MVP for the season, also first team. And, she's expecting to try to get that MVP as well. So, we got a lot of competitive people out here. So, you can only get one MVP. But you said earlier, Kelvin, iron sharpens iron. So when we're in practice, they're really trying to, improve each other. So if we're here in practice and we're improving each other, and when we start to play other people, it's easy for us. So I think with all the young ladies, the freshmen right here in the middle, Larissa Silva, that's from Brazil. She's new, so we're going to see, might have some freshman growing pains, but we want to see how she pans out playing. And then you have Genesis, who was freshman of the year last year. Definitely expecting more from her. And then Veronica and Sierra on the individual pitcher. We're definitely expecting all of them to do great things. All of them have done great things last year, whether it's being on the first team, whether it's being on the tournament team. All these young ladies expect more. Like I said, they was at the beginning of the semester going out and practicing with each other. So they are still hungry, and they still want to accomplish great things.
Getting into a little bit of the schedule, you talked about that challenging schedule, and I want to make sure I pull it right, because I got to make sure I'm looking at it right, because I know there's some stuff from the fall that were in here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Southeastern Louisiana University this upcoming weekend. You're traveling to Hattiesburg, actually doing 2 in 2 days. So you got Southeastern Louisiana and the University of Southern Miss. Then you, let's see, and then actually you swing over to Mobile. I guess I should say coming back towards Tallahassee,
correct?
Where you hit University of South Alabama. So it's a full weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you talked about scheduling. Look, we know the schedule was tough last year, but we wouldn't expect anything less. How important? And every coach has a different strategy for the non-conference. Is it important? Do these girls, and do you want to see some team wins or individual wins? Or is it, hey, let's use these as opportunities to get better? Or how does the non-conference and winning and losing non-conference factor into anything at the end of the season? Maybe that's a better way of asking it.
Yeah. So again, like I said, I scheduled tough schedule, but this young ladies, and even the young ladies before, they want to win non-conference as well. It's not that we're just using this to try to get better just for the SWAC. No, they want to win their matches. Like I said, these young ladies are very competitive, so they expect to go out there and compete with anybody that we're playing. And so with this first team that we're playing, they want to win as a team and as an individual. And if we win as an individual, it helps as a team. But if we don't win, we'll definitely learn from that, and we'll go back to the drawing board and see how we can get better for the next team that we're playing.
Okay. Kelvin, what do you got? What do you got for Coach?
Coach, talk to me about your strategy for a specific match, and how do you choose your number one, your number two, and your doubles team? Kind of peel back the onion on that.
Peel back the onion. Yeah. So like during the fall, we get to see, who is doing well in certain brackets. And during, when we're playing in the fall, we get to see, who will probably be best in that 1 or 2 or all the way down to 6th position. And in that time is where we really figure out who's going to probably be the best one to be in that position. And you can see when you're playing different levels of, oh yeah, she's going to be up here. And they also know as well when they're practicing with each other, because we play each other almost every day. And so when you're talking about for doubles, we kind of move it around. We're still kind of trying to focus on to see, who plays well together, who plays well on the forehand side a little bit better than maybe the backhand. Maybe you have somebody who is better at the net and the other one's more solid from the baseline. And will that complement each other together as a team? So, I always try to, we have doubles days because doubles is very important in college tennis. We start off with that in our matches. And so, we put a lot of emphasis on our doubles teams. So we've been right now just kind of seeing who will play well together, and then we'll see who's the better team, and then we'll put them in those positions.
Marcus, you want to get another question in there for Coach?
Yes, Coach. I wanted to ask, based on your outlook and what you know about the other teams in the SWAC, where do you expect the biggest competition to come from?
I think Jackson State, I'm going to say Jackson State. I think they got a couple more players that came in this year. Alabama State has always been a tough competition. Alabama A&M is definitely brought in some new young ladies, and there's always been very scrappy team. I think Prairie View might have brought in a couple, but like I said, I think everybody is competition until we, finish that match.
All right, thank you.
One of the questions Jimmy Mack asked from out of the chat room here, how do you go about scouting your opponents and your other teams?
Well, it's really kind of hard because it's not like that, like basketball, where you have film and you give it to the next opponent. It's almost like when you go out there, you kind of see what type of player that you're playing, and you kind of go after that. Because we don't really get to see them often, especially in our conference. We'll play them that one time, and then we're playing them in the tournament. So that one is kind of hard for us because we don't get to scout a lot. We just have to go out there and see how they play and go from there.
All right. In the chat room, and I posted it, so it's all there for everybody. The FAMU tennis fundraising. There's a fundraising link there. We're trying to raise $10,000 for our tennis program. You guys did an awesome job. Look, Rattler Nation came through for the softball program last week, and so now we got. If I look at the timeline here, we've got about 3 weeks or 16 days to actually to come through for our tennis program. Talk a little bit about the fundraiser and what you're hoping to be able to do with the funds that come from it, Coach.
Yeah, I just want to say, Coach P kind of got in here early before I did to get that fundraiser out. We always do it at the same time, but she got in here early on me. But but we usually do this at the beginning of the year, a 21-day fundraiser. We did really well last year. This fundraiser helps out our student athletes throughout whatever they need, whether it is more pairs of shoes, whether it's string and rackets, whatever we need. This fundraiser definitely helps. Last year we bought some new cameras. We've always had cameras, but with these cameras this year, we're going to be able to live feed our matches. So, the fundraisers definitely help with things that can help our team get to grow and become better. And one of the things I really wanted to do this year was to make sure that they have live feeds for their parents at home or the international, they can see their matches. So that's one of the things that we definitely emphasize when we're doing fundraisers. It's not just to get money for the small things, but it's things that we think that will help our Rattler Nation to see our team.
Coach, that's awesome.
Yes, it is.
That's wow. Again, I've tweeted out the link from our @ONG page. I'm gonna post it on our Facebook page, but I just sent the link out to all of our feeds. Those of you watching on our Facebook streams and our YouTube streams. More importantly, share this with Rattler Nation. And I think what's important, this type of fundraiser gives the program instant access to the funds to be able to make this happen. Because I know there are a lot of people that may have asked, well, why aren't we using the Rattler Athletic Fund? And I know you do use that as well.
We do.
But this is an opportunity to actually, I hate to say it, but it's probably a little bit faster than maybe sometimes the other method. And so right now, again, we need all the resources and all the available help. So shout out to all of our DSOs that are out there. You guys chip in. You guys are a part of the DSOs. Let's get behind this. Okay, we've got 16 days, and this is the championship program. You know what I mean? Let's not forget that.
That's right.
You know, we talk about bragging different. Then we got to brag and support, because this is a bad group of ladies. This is, I ain't gonna lie, especially when they get into those doubles. Ooh, boy, good luck trying to beat them. I mean, this is a bad group. Hold on, let me put the picture back up there. If that picture didn't sell you that's a bad group. They just look like champions. They look like champions. They really do. They look like, yo, who's coming to Tallahassee? Who wants some of this? Y'all don't want none of this. Yeah, we got to get behind this and support this tennis program and this tennis team. Let me make sure people know the first spring home meet, I hope I'm saying that right, or matches.
Match.
Yep, February 1st. Now, that's a Thursday at the Althea Gibson Tennis Complex, 1 o'clock against Troy University. The first weekend is Friday, February 9th against UAB. And actually, there's a weekend. So you got a Friday against UAB on February 9th. I'm Kelvin. You know what that weekend? I think I got to come to Tallahassee, because I think I got a double dip there. There's tennis and softball going on.
Softball?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Right next door.
Exactly. That's going to be a fun weekend. That's going to be a fun weekend. So, again, that's February 9th on Friday, hosting UAB. Saturday against Georgia State. So that's at the Althea Gibson Tennis Complex. So that's going to be a great weekend. That's a great weekend to get to Tallahassee. I'm going to tell you that now. That might even be President's Weekend. So some of y'all might even have Monday off from work. I think I do. So that's even more incentive to come to Tallahassee that weekend. And then, of course, the first SWAC. Well, actually, it's kind of interesting because there's like a cluster in Montgomery, Alabama, it looks like, with Mississippi Valley, Alcorn, and Grambling, that takes place February 16th through the 18th. And then I know we've got, looks like you got a match against Florida State in March. Is that probably over there?
Yes, it'll be over there. Mm-hmm.
Down the street. Mm-hmm. And then it looks like there's another cluster in March in Jackson against Alabama A&M, Jackson State, and Prairie View. And then we host our own cluster towards the end of the season, featuring Southern, Bethune, and Alabama State. So that'll be in April. I'm sorry. No, that's the final 3 home matches. Okay, so they're all separate weekends. Okay, I read that wrong. Okay, so at least we got the last 3 home. March 23rd, hosting Southern. March 30th, hosting Bethune. And then April 7th, hosting Alabama State. And then the SWAC championship is in New Orleans, Louisiana. That should be good.
Yes,
all right, Coach. Any last words? Anything you want to share again with Rattler Nation? We're excited about this season. Really, really looking forward to. You're not going to sneak up on anybody this year, Coach. No, you're not sneaking up on anybody.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. But I did just want to say thank you for everyone that has supported us through the fundraiser, who came out there and supported us at a match. Again, I would love for everybody to come out and support. And I know sometimes it gets too hot out there, but the young ladies definitely love when they see people to come out to support. Even when we're going out of town, there's been a few places that we went, and then Rattler Nation came out and supported, and it's helped us tremendously. So I just want to thank everyone that has came out and support our tennis team, and go Rattlers.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The first, and just answer had a question about when you guys are heading to you're not going to Texas this year. Mississippi is the furthest west that the ladies are going, and that's in
Jackson.
Well, actually, yeah, that's in Jackson. Actually, they'll be in Mississippi obviously this weekend, but then when they head to Jackson, that's also in Mississippi. So that's about as far west as they'll be going. So
yes, sir.
All right, Coach. Well, hey, safe travels
Thank you.
weekend. We look forward to updates. And we'll be looking. I don't know. Sometimes you get to these schools and they'll be streaming. They may be streaming the link. So if they are, we'll make sure to push that stream out so that way we can follow along and watch. But more importantly, we want to get those updates. So,
Coach. Hey, Coach, you feeling good? You good? No travel restrictions. I know you had you recovered.
Yeah, I am recovered.
Okay.
Well, actually, my body's a little sore because I went and hit with the girls today and it just didn't go right. So I'm gonna need some recovery from that. But overall, I'm good.
Okay. All right. And by the way, no pressure. Just a repeat. No pressure.
None at all. None at all.
Hey, Coach, do we need to add one of those automatic ball tossing machines? And we need to add that into the mix to kind of help, so that way you don't save that shoulder. You might have to put that on the list.
Please, because it's going down. It's going down. I ain't young like I used to be. I can tell you that.
All right. Appreciate you, Coach Nikki. Thank you for coming in, joining us. Good luck this season. We look forward to seeing the team do well this spring.
Again, thank you again for letting me come in on here and talk about the tennis program.
Anytime, Coach. Anytime you want to come in, and we're gonna keep pumping that link and try to get the fundraising up, folks. You can donate in many different denominations, 500, 250, 150, 100, 50, whatever you want, whatever's on your heart and available in your pocket. You can donate it to the tennis program. All right. Thank you. We gotta get some gear, Coach. We gotta get some a nice tennis swag that you guys got. We'll be looking for that. When we come to Tallahassee, we'll be looking. Kelvin,
sir.
Just hit Kelvin up. He knows the sizes.
Yes, I'll reach out to you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Good stuff there with Coach. Yeah. So, folks, you got to make sure to hit up that link, so that way we can show some love to the program. Let's do this. Let's take a short break, come back and reset with all of the news and notes surrounding FAMU athletics. Gonna get Marcus a chance to exhale and get some things off his chest. Man, he's been squirming. He's been itching. Marcus is gonna come in and drop some nuggets on y'all. I hyped that up. I hyped that up too much there, Marcus. I hyped that up a little too much for you. It's all good. All right, you're watching the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin. My fingers are not pushing buttons as quickly as I used to be able to. Let me make sure I share a couple of links again for those of you who caught our interview with the First Strike group. If you have questions, if you want to be a part of this group and their efforts, send an email, firststrike1987 at yahoo.com. Okay, that's the email address. And you know, just first off, let them know you heard about their group and what they were wanting to do right here on the O&G Strike Zone. And we're gonna look to try to have them on next week. Before we kind of pivot back to the headline, what's your take, Marcus and Kelvin, as you hear the proposal and you hear everything? What's your thoughts on the proposal by that group of Rattlers? Anyone? Marcus.
I thought it was interesting. Very, very progressive, and I think you and I think we talked about it maybe a year or so ago, because there was an article that was either I got it somehow or you guys forwarded it to me about shipping containers, and there was a college out, I want to say Kansas or somewhere in the Midwest, that used shipping containers as a cost savings for building new dorms. And we had bounced it around. Well, why couldn't we use it for a field house? So I think they're very progressive and sounds like it's feasible. I think they answered some of the questions I had as it relates to working with the other DSOs and making sure we don't have, I guess, what I call market confusion, basically having a lot of groups with good initiatives, but if you're not affiliated with it, how do you know which one to donate to? Who's, why isn't there some cohesiveness? So I think they addressed that, and hopefully it gets even more streamlined going forward. So I think it's a progressive idea for both the Classic, because we've been in Jacksonville before with South Carolina State. So we'll see how it works out. I guess the biggest thing that Mr. David mentioned, and somewhat I agree, is that once again, the trust factor. I mean, it's FAMU, it's Rattlers, it's Rattler alums are running it, but also you have to have the risk versus reward and understand, who you're dealing with. Are they, say who they are, or are they who they say they are, and all those type of things. So I can understand, putting some things at risk and just saying, hey, this is a startup, or from the perspective of whomever they're dealing with, this is a new entity that we've not dealt with. So there has to be some feeling out and getting to know each other, and a track record there. But overall, I think it's a good progressive idea.
I agree. I like the fact that they've done some homework, as they talk about it. Somebody I have a facilities background, of course, so so it's good to know that it's more than just talk. They've put some things together that make sense, and they have a strategy. The fact that that they've communicated with the other DSOs and affinity groups, and understand what their pathway is into making some of this stuff happen, and they've reached out to the university brass. I think is great. I love the vision. A lot of people wait on the AD or the president, and that's not how these type of things typically happen, right? Usually you have someone, whether it's consultant, a vendor, what have you, that comes to the table and say, hey, why don't we do X, Y, and Z? And this is how we can do these things. So I love the vision. I love the idea. I love the consensus building where you unifying a lot of Rattler Nation. And I'm interested to see the response from That's on Larry. Because they brought something to the table.
They
Larry
did.
ain't Larry ain't brought nothing to the table. So I don't want to hear just no. I hope to hear this is how we can work with this group and make this happen. Right? If there's things that need to be flushed out, let's flush it out. But let's do it. I want us to find a way to yes for FAMU athletics.
Thank you. It's interesting. That vision is something that we've been starving for. We've been talking about this for a while now, telling us about the state of Rattler athletics, or just giving us a vision for the athletic program. And here's a group that I get it right now. We're going to get into talking about the schedule, which got released earlier this week, but we knew going in that there was going to be 5 home games, right? Well, we knew this was a year because Bethune is the host and the home game of the Florida Classic. We were going to get 4 SWAC home games, right? And we already knew the non-conference. We knew that South Carolina State was our home game. And, FAMU has we're used to having 4 home games. Heck, there's some schools that I've seen in the SWAC that only have 3 conference home games, and then so maybe like 4. And so there's a reason why our schools, whether you want to call it HBCUs, low resource schools, whatever you want to call it, there's a reason why we play outside of our home stadium. Okay. I mean, for starters, our home stadium only seats, what's the number now? Because I can't say 25 anymore. Was it 22?
Realistically, probably around 20.
Oh. So we're talking 20 realistically, right? Where when we go, we can go on the road 3 hours south and draw 50, 51. We can go 2 hours east and probably pull in 40. I mean, these numbers are double than what we hold in our own backyard. And I mean, you show me that we're going to have a packed house for the first game of the season. We've never seen it. Well, I don't say never, but usually we don't see it. Am I right? Last year we had one game that was a sellout. That was homecoming, right? All the other games drew 17 or less. And I mean, we did a good numbers. I mean, they averaged right about the same, 18, 17, right, this year. But they weren't sold out.
Well, do we know on the first game because of, I guess I want to say the scanner issue or whatever?
Oh, shit.
I mean, I'm not trying to bring that up, but do we actually know the numbers? And then I know 2 years ago we had a thunderstorm and then, a couple lightning delays. So
there's always something, Marcus. There's always something. It's always something, right? So,
honestly, that takes some of those things off the table as well as the expenses side of it.
It does.
So there's other benefits to it, along with the conflicts, of course, of Florida State playing at home. As a matter of fact, someone pointed out, I hadn't looked at their schedule yet, but right now they're saying homecoming is a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw. Was it
homecoming's a conflict? Yeah, somebody. Actually, we
that.
got a text from Mike Reed earlier today. Maybe an hour before the show. Homecoming's a conflict. Florida State's playing North Carolina at time to be determined on November 2nd, and the Labor Day weekend. We have South Carolina State that Saturday, and Florida State has, Boston College on Labor Day night.
On that Monday night. So that's not directly a conflict,
but
it still goes to that weekend
hotels
in Tallahassee and hotels. And but look, that's not going to change. I mean, now again, you can't compare. These are again, we're talking apples compared to stakes. I mean, Florida State, I'm looking at their schedule. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 7 home games. They got a 60,000 seat stadium. Hell yeah, when you got a 60,000 seat stadium, yeah, you should have 6, 7 home games. We've got a 20,000 seat stadium. 4 home games is enough, and then we can go double that when we go, within 2 to 3 hours. And it's a larger reach. Why? Because you can probably get better hotel deals in Orlando and Jacksonville than you can in Tallahassee. Even better hotel deals when we go to Atlanta. Every city we go to this year, you will get better hotel deals than in Tallahassee. No one ever talks about that. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry to the Tallahassee Visitors Bureau. I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm too far off. So, somebody tell Dr. Robinson. Why, Dr. Robinson, ask the question. Where's our media outlets that are going to ask? I'll send a message to. I don't know if he'll pick up the phone, but or he'll reply. Why do we have to have 5 home games?
Well, let me just address this thing that's always out here about for profit companies and $1 million. Show me a classic. Show me those numbers, right? People always claim that you play a neutral site that you collect $1 million. You know how much it costs to rent a pro stadium and the security and the concessions and so forth, plus pay teams to come, as well as expenses per diem, hotels. You understand that's 600,000 easy. And when they bring those teams in, though, unlike the bowl games and the neutral site games you see, for instance, LSU, Florida State last year in Orlando, Florida State had to sell out had their allotment of 29,000 tickets. That's how they got their 3 million, part of their 3 million. They were given 29,000 up. They had to pay for 29,000 tickets, whether they sold them or not. So without those kind of buffers in place, and you ain't got no skin in the game, $350,000 with no expenses is more than what we make at home, including homecoming. So I just want to put the facts out there, because people keep recycling this thing. You worth $1 million. Well, show me that. Where you get that number from? Okay, go ahead.
All right, Marcus, I want to come back, circle back, and give you a chance to talk about our headline story that we talked on. I want to be fair. I want to make sure you get your thoughts in on our lead story, talking about the bowling story, bowling controversy.
Well, I mean, it's a sad state of affairs. I mean, first and foremost, I'm not looking to pile on, and I don't know all the details. I haven't looked at all the documents. I'm not following it like the OJ trial, anything like that, getting all the sordid details.
Jesus.
But in essence, it's to me, and from the little details, it sounds like a communication issue and a leadership issue. So there's a breakdown of communication. And in terms of understanding the expectations, maybe a little and breakdown in leadership in terms of managing the situation before it got to this point. And I mean, to me, that's the crux of it, because a lot of this I don't believe had to happen. There could have been some stopping points. And I know just for those folks who are in, I guess, a field that involves, say, root cause failure analysis or that type stuff, that there are certain things have to line up in order to get to a significant event. And if there's one interruption or two interruptions in there that breaks it or doesn't allow all those events to line up, you don't usually end up with a significant event. You have a near miss. And it sounds like everything lined up, maybe from an interpersonal standpoint, leadership standpoint, communication standpoint, and We are where we are right now.
Yeah. And look, I'll say this. I feel for again, I feel for all parties involved in this. Because I know the bowlers, they want to I can how do I say this? I know what I will say that message that Eva Holmes sent out the other day. That one was one that she was probably sitting on. Because as she even stated in the HBCU game day, she got tired of being inundated with people's videos and comments about it. And here she is, one of the returning players. And I think what's always interesting is your worldview of things shapes how you respond to situations. I think when you have a young coach who doesn't have a lot of experience as a coach, you lean on your personal experience as a player. And what we do know is Coach Howard was a high-level player, an all-SWAC player all 4 years. She was probably a no-nonsense player, meaning that she was probably a very, hey, by the book, this is how I do it, this is what we do. And she came out of a program that was probably of that same ilk, where they may have done things a certain way. So when you come into a new program, you bring in what you know. And so things that she possibly tried to implement were things that she was raised on. I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong. That's not for me to say. But just to say that your experiences kind of shape your early years as a coach. I know for me, it did my early years as a coach. But then as you grow in coaching and you have interactions with players, maybe parents, maybe administrators, you learn how to shape. You are forever constantly growing as a coach, right? So I don't want to beat down coach and say she's going to be horrible at being a coach. She's too early in this process to say that. We don't know what she's going to be. Okay. Now we can agree to disagree or however you want to do it. Should she have gotten opportunity at such a young age? I don't know, but she was given it. And when you give somebody so young and so little of experience, you gotta be able to coach them up. So it's like coaches coaching coaches, right? So you gotta coach her up the right way. And but you also gotta let her do her thing and let her fly. And that's where little things fell apart. Like I'll say this one little thing. There was a conversation, or it was said that there was no initial meeting between the returning players and the new coach until almost a month and a half to 2 months into the year. That's crazy to me. I'm just trying to imagine being new to as the leader of a program. One of the first things I'm trying to do is to get to know the current group of players, right? I mean, even when we get this new football coach, what's going to be his first task? Get to know the roster. I mean, if it happens to be someone from the outside, they're going to have to get to know the roster, right? You're going to have to do those team building functions. You're not just going to come in and start drawing up plays on the board. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you come in like Coach Prime with a Louis bag and say, I got my bag packed, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Maybe you do that. I don't know. But an effective coach, effective leader is going to come in and try to get to know people. What makes them tick? What makes them work? That was missed. That was a missed opportunity in the first 2 months of the season. Then by the time you get into the season, it's like, when you got this close age thing, which also creates a strange dynamic. because you got people who are seeing, you got young people that are seeing you, hey, you just finished school 2 years ago. So you got all of those factors in. So I'll end by just saying, I hope that this team, this bowling team, which they competed over the weekend, they didn't win any of their matches. I know Eva had a good weekend, or at least set a personal best in one of those matches. But I hope this team can figure it out. I don't know, Kelvin, if you want to get into the I don't know if we can move. You can say, hey, Bree, let's move on, or I can ask you the other bold questions that I had on the sheet, because there were some bold questions that I had in there that maybe have to be asked, and I don't know if we want to ask it now or ask it at a later date. You tell me.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
In that report, allegations were made that you had a potential NCAA violation regarding lack of institutional control from the AD's failure to promote a culture of compliance. Now, that's the claim. There's also a claim that the team may not have been properly cleared for athletic participation the entire semester. Yeah, you heard right. That's some heavy stuff.
And let me stop it right there and respond to both of those. That time period you speak of where you didn't meet with your team for that month and a half, that is the time coming into the fall typically where you do all that kind of stuff. At the beginning of the fall semester, all the fall sports typically are going through all their clearing, and it's required by NCAA. That's facts. So if it was not done at the time frame it should have been done, that will be an issue.
It's been said, we've had people report to us that lawyers, I don't know if it's necessarily Mo or the other teammates, have potentially lawyered up. So this story is not going away, folks. It's going to sit there until, and again, I tell you, there's another part to it that still hadn't come out. And when it comes out, that's going to be the clarity that everybody's, you're like, uh-oh. That's the part that's going to come out. That's going to be interesting to see.
And I don't know what you're referring to, Brian, but I'm going to just make a general statement. When student athletes reach out to administrator, whether it be their sports administrator, their AD, or their president, especially when it comes to reporting of any kind of mental abuse and so forth, there's a requirement that those be reported to a specific entity within 24 to 48 hours. It's required. One. Also, emails and electronic communications last forever.
Yep.
So it behooves you, when things arise at that level, at appropriate level, and you respond, that you follow up your response. So I've got to believe in a situation like this, it didn't just jump from a dispute between the coach and 4 of her players all to social media. I'm sure there was communications in between there that went through a progressive step. And so I'm waiting for that information to come out, because I'm sure it's out there.
Hey, this girl's an English major. People who are English majors, guess what they do? They write. They write. And they write. So, all right, let's move forward. Let's talk about football coaching. Let's talk about searching for a football coach. How about that as a transition? Over the weekend, the search firm on Sunday, led by Dr. Palm. I'm looking for his first name.
Donald.
Dr. Donald Palm. Thank you. I found it. He's the FAMU's COO and vice president. He, along with the members of the football search committee, met with the search firm, the Renaissance Search and Consulting firm, that was assigned to presenting this group with some names. And of course, they use numbers to hide names, but at the same time they were so descriptive that I think it had a lot of people playing CSI Twitter and trying to put together, well, who is this person that he's describing? Played at a higher level, coached a SWAC champion, or won a championship, was a coach of the year. You know, all these clues had people running to their computers doing Google searches for names, right? What we did learn from the search firm's address to the committee was that there were 45 candidates that were selected, or that were being selected from. Okay, so you had 45 names. So the search firm presented 5 names, 5 numbers. Every name had a number, so they presented 5. And then they gave 2 alternates. Now, this is me stepping out of the reporting of the facts there. That's the facts. What I find as humorous as hell, hilarious to me, was that practically everybody on that search committee chose 4 names, and they were practically all the same. 4, and I should say 4 numbers attached to names, 4. Only one matched the 5 plus 2, that's 7, that the search firm presented. Well, so then the search firm said, well, we need a 5th. Dr. Palm was even like, come on, guys, we need to come up with a 5th. So then the people were like, okay, well, if you're going to make us choose a 5th, how about this number?
14.
That number happened to also be one of the original 5 names that the search firm suggested. The search firm was really pushing for another particular number, but I don't know. There were certain concerns about salary or potential salary of some of the candidates, and they didn't want to have nothing to do with it. So we don't know names. We can only speculate names. We only know, Tony said it was number 29. 29 was who, and I'm still trying to figure out who 29 was. It was a great description. The search firm really wanted number 29. I'm curious as to who the hell 29 is. But anyway.
What was the description?
Well,
I mean, you might not know it off the top of your head.
No, because
I didn't watch. I didn't watch all that.
Yeah, no. You were good. You were good not to watch. It was a bit tragic at times. Hold on, let me see what I wrote here. 29.
Actually, I didn't mind it, right? Because
you're right. You're right.
The way it was set up to be, it worked, right? Whether you agree with it or like it, the bottom line was that, the search firm did its job by collecting 45 applications. They recommended a top 7, basically 5, and then two alternatives. And with that information, the search firm the search committee, they considered all of that. And they gave very specific reasons as to why some of those were no-go. And most of it centered around salary and that whole process, where they already, putting numbers that are above what we paid our past coach. So, that concern. Of course, they talked about concerns with continuity between the staff and the players, and then they also talked about, those applicants' commitment to FAMU. If you choose some of those folks with NFL PWI aspirations, is this just a one or 2 year thing? We'll be going back through it again. So they gave some pretty good legitimate reasons, I thought. And ultimately, let's be honest. Everybody's been talking about continuity, and you have a player who's part of that committee and so forth. So it wasn't surprising, to be honest, that it came back like that. But go ahead, Brian.
Well, 29. Here's the notes on 29 that I wrote down. That he was a Hall of Fame. He was a Hall of Famer at his HBCU. Not necessarily a Hall of Famer in the pro sense, but a Hall of Famer at his HBCU. That he was a coach of the year. Believe he said played at the highest level, which to me that read NFL. And then the one that caught me, which really made me, I was guessing, trying to figure out who, ties to the area. Now, ties to the area. I don't know if that's ties to Florida or ties to the Southeast.
The region.
Ties to the area.
Florida and the region is what I kind of gathered.
That's how you interpret it? Okay.
Yeah.
So that was 29. And they were really adamant about, the search firm was really adamant about trying to get 29 to be considered by the search committee, but the search committee wasn't having it. They were like, nope, we're passing a motion to push forward number 14. Well, actually, here's how they said it. Pushing forward number 16, 18, 34, 45. Oh, and 14. Since you're making us pick a fifth, we choose 14. And someone said quickly, I second that motion. It was like, bam, it was passed. And those were the 5 names that were sent forward to A.D. Sykes and Dr. Robinson, who I believe those are the ones that are doing the interviewing.
Yeah, interviews. My understanding is the interviews started Monday, and they potentially could have finished all 5 interviews by today.
I do know that there is a foundation board meeting tomorrow. And when the foundation meets, that's usually related to what? Monday. So the question is whomever or whatever kind of salaries potentially being pitched to the foundation to say this is the candidate, this is their request and requirements, so on and so forth.
Now, Brian, is this a regular scheduled meeting or emergency, or because of circumstances?
I don't know if I wasn't really broken down to me in those respects, whether it was emergency or standard. I don't think it's I don't think the foundation had a Thursday meeting scheduled for January 25th prior to the other day.
Okay.
I know the board of trustees meeting that we thought was supposed to happen Monday didn't happen Monday. I don't believe. I think that got rescheduled. I did see that there was a meeting scheduled for February 5th. If you go to FAMU Board of Trustees webpage, there is a meeting scheduled for February 5th. So I don't know, will we have
I don't think there was a board meeting scheduled for the trustees on Monday. I just think that was the due date for the report in terms of athletic financials, and I think they were just emailing that information to the board.
Okay. Okay, good clarification. Thank you. And so yeah, look, I'm not gonna. I don't have a splash graphic. We're not gonna. You guys know where you can go to get the latest tea on who the coaches are. I think at this point we're all kind of so done with it that I'm just gonna say this. Well, at this point, y'all fought the fight to not get the one coach. Now we're gonna have to eat and live with whoever gets named this next coach.
Hey, Brian.
I think.
Remember when I said
I
believe in Rattler Nation?
You believe in Rattler Nation.
I'm just saying, man. You know, you got folks putting the articles out here talking about we done met our match and stuff. and that didn't go very well either.
Hey, look, that well,
I mean,
you got to get your people. You got to get your people. You know,
it's
you got
good
to
to
have
have
somebody other than you got to have friends in the media.
Hey, it's good to have friends.
You got to have friends.
You got to have friends. You know, I like friends who gonna tell me the truth and let me know when I'm out of pocket, man. Don't have me out there looking like Boo Boo the Fool. I mean, if I need some straightening, man, you know, don't you know, get me before I get out there. You know what I'm saying? Don't be hyping me up, man. I'm dead ass wrong. And
I don't have names, Will. I know y'all know the names. Y'all can get in the chat room and talk names all day. The names haven't changed. The names haven't changed. You know the names. And besides, Dr. Paul, I'm gonna repeat what Dr. Dr. Paul. He said, let's not talk about the names. We're entrusting that these names remain private. And then what happened? Like 10 minutes later, you get names being flashed.
But it wasn't that hard, man. And so
I'm just saying, I thought it was kind of funny. I mean,
especially with the internal folks. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
here's an internal one. I think you guys know this one. It was like, yeah. I think me and my Kelvin Dean was great. Yeah, I think me and my teammates, we want number 16. I think that was great. That was beautiful. That was great. I think there was one that we kind of knew. Yeah. So we'll wait to see what happens. There's a lot of belief that something will happen this weekend. It'll be an exciting. Now the question is, Ashton, very good. Obviously, I'm gonna throw this out to y'all. University of Michigan looking for a new coach. Will they have a new coach before FAMU football does? And two, which direction do you think they're going? You think they're going outside? Or you think they're going to have a Michigan man be hired? I'm just asking what championship teams do, what winning programs do. They usually kind of promote from within. The brother who filled in for Coach Harbaugh during the season will not be. I will be shocked if he's not the head coach. I will be shocked. Lord. All right, I put the email out there, ongstrikezone@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. If you want to get some stuff off your chest, if you want to talk, you want to vent, I'm gonna put you put in your email address. Let us know you want to come. And what's the matter? What Marcus? What happened, Marcus? What I missed? And if you want to be a part of the show, we'll give you an opportunity. All right. Before we get to talking about the schedule, I'm going to bring in one of our first guests who sent a message, and so we're going to open this up for the next few minutes. They're not going to be long, so if you want to get in, then you need to jump in quick. You need to send that email, ongstrikezone@gmail.com. I'm going to hit you with a link, but I'm going to bring in our first guest, good friend of the show, friends of ours, friends of our family, Mr. Oshabi Craig. Oshabi, how you doing, brother? Rattler?
Man, I'm fantastic. First off, big shout out to big brother Marcus and my longtime guy Kelvin. Kelvin, you looking in here like you know the names, brother. You just trying to keep it cool for the show so that you don't cause no problems.
I don't know nothing, man.
First off, B, I appreciate the moment to come and check in on a bunch of different things. I was talking to our good brother Jawanza Green, longtime diehard Rattler today, and been talking to just a lot of folks in my family and circle. And I must say I'm disappointed on how we as a community handle some of these things that have happened in the last month. And I start with the framing around the fact that we were able to raise some money to try to come up with a plan to keep our coach. And then from that point where it seemed like Brother Willie was on a mission. He was on a mission to win a championship for his hometown school and then go on to something different. Because when I look back at some of the information that's out there, it seems like there was some negotiation that went on to give him the things that he asked for. Then he made a decision to go a different way. And I think that anybody that's been a professional in the world knows that people are always looking for what my next move is going to be. And I think this idea and framing that happened after us having 3 really good back-to-back years. But I think a lot of our folks, and I've said this specifically a shout out to all of the Gainesville National Alumni Association members. I said this in the middle of the season when we were winning and people were mad because we weren't winning the right way. I got into one of the meetings and I said, hold on. Do we forget about the Alex Woods era? Like, did we slip that away in our minds that our program was in shambles? And true Rattlers would still show up for homecoming and come to the Classic and pay their money and see a terrible product out on the field. And so to have had the 2 and I would say 3 really good years, and last year a great year that ends up in a championship, and now suddenly everybody's like, well, I know the coach that we need to have, not the people that professionally do it, but I have the answer. They don't know what they're doing. I think it's fascinating, and it's been I've been disappointed in the level of rumor and confusion, and I'm down for that conversation. We pick up the phone, you, me, and Juwanza will be texting back and forth. That'll happen all the time. I'm with that. But then when you start putting it out there in the world and you start airing our dirty laundry to the folks, I have issue. Along with, separate from that, to go through this whole process where we bought in a search firm to now have a process where we're like, we need to keep it together, but everybody knows who all of the candidates are. And in the search firm process, the search firm is only there to try to give you possible people that you might hire. This was a way to say we're gonna get everybody around the table. There's not another school that has used a search firm to get a football coach in a long, long time. Because that's not what would normally happen. It would happen in other. Like, I was fascinated by how it all played out. My hope at this point, that we get somebody in that can stabilize things, that we can move forward in a way where some of the bad blood and some of the positioning that has happened in the context where we want to be big time, but we're not. As Brother Kelvin said earlier, people are coming to the table with ideas, but the resources that we need to go to this next level of getting a field house, the resources that we need to have so that we can have a game in Jacksonville and have it be actually successful is another step, and it requires a different level of commitment from our fan base. I felt good about the fact that I sent money in, and I send my money into my school all the time. But we have an expectation when I hear people talking about, well, look what Alabama did. If you look at the press conference for the Alabama coaching announcement, the people at Alabama were not happy about their coaching selection. And that dude just went to the national championship game and they still weren't satisfied. So, you can be a winner, you can do everything right, and people are going to still have an opinion, but that's not actually what matters. What's going to matter is that, number one, regardless of who we select as a coach, that the people actually support the student athletes that are on the field. The grown people that get to guide them, you're not there to cheer for the coach, you're there to cheer for the players. You're there to cheer for our alma mater. And I challenge the people that spent so much time and energy focused on this thing to say, how do you take some of that energy and put it in showing up for FAMU Day on the Capitol? To go talk to the people that can give us the resources, the space. And when I say space, I mean looking at FAMU be handcuffed specifically in athletics in ways to not fill the economic gaps. I remember reading an article, probably 2018, where the Board of Governors comes and says, well, FAMU can no longer use auxiliary funds to cover the debts in athletics. And my question was, that's how every single school in the country does it, including the people across the street.
That's right.
So now suddenly what they do doesn't work for us. Somehow now we have to come up with some other mechanism to make it work out. And the StrikeZone brothers that were on earlier, I love what they're talking about, but they shouldn't compare us to UCF. They shouldn't compare us to Florida State. We should be in a conversation with other similarly sized schools with similarly sized fan bases to get to things that are actually attainable for us. We had one of the probably the most challenging months in recent history with our program. And not just with our program, but with the brand of our institution as a result of how we were handling it. But I want to rewind the tape back to the fall of 22 when we made national news because we almost did not have our players show up for a game because we were having compliance issues because we did not have leadership inside of the athletic department. And this is no shade to my big brother, Michael Smith, but it was trying to make sure that we could get through with not enough people and not enough resources. And that's not an issue for Dr. Robinson. That's an issue that goes to what is happening at the state level of the investment in our school. It is not surprising that when things go wrong, we start shooting at each other instead of saying, how do we put ourselves in a position to really protect this institution and get the resources so that we can compete at the levels that we're talking about? And that's, brother, that's my take. I want to hear from the brothers because I know I put a lot of stuff out there, but that's some of what I wanted to get off my chest.
Wow. That's a great point. Appreciate you dropping those jewels. Especially that part about making sure that sort of that gun is pointed at the right direction.
Brother.
But I also
I would say the one thing I'll say about now the governance piece as it relates to the state. I mean, we all know the history. We all know there's been some shady things going on in the past. But the other thing is that NCAA manual says that the president of the university is ultimately responsible for athletics.
Most definitely.
And so if we had one person or two people in compliance or in academic support trying to support 14 sports at a Division I level, that's unsustainable and never should have been put. There should have been more resources put there. The issue with the eligibility and compliance and all that type stuff are things that we've been dealing with. I mean, that's what got Billy Joe up out of FAMU.
Yeah.
In theory, 20 years ago, 18 years ago in 2005. So it's been a long-standing issue that should have been addressed a while in terms of adequate support, personnel, and expertise. So I'll say that piece. I mean, there's probably a state and historical aspect to it in terms of the state not doing some things as it relates to making sure that FAMU gets adequate funding, because we all know about the lawsuit. But in terms of providing support, academic support and compliance support, that should have been done 2-3 presidents ago.
Brother Marcus, I don't disagree at all. And I think that if the Apple basket was the same size for us as it is for some of our sister and brother institutions, I doubt that would have been challenged. But when you are existing at the margins for so long, you get to a thing where people are doing 2 and 3 jobs, and it doesn't, it takes somebody going out on sick leave or something happening or transition out of position, and then things begin to fall apart. And at that point, not having an AD, the staff being thin, people walked in the door and said, Brother Michael, you don't have enough money to get the job done, but we got to figure it out. And that's been a mantra. And I say this as somebody who graduated from FAMU and worked at FAMU and still support FAMU to this day and worked at other HBCUs. That's part of what comes with it. And I agree that still doesn't say that there are things that we have to do to hold the line to make sure that our folks are eligible, because the entire point of these students being in school is for them to actually graduate. And if we're not in position for them to do that, we're doing them a disservice. Brother Kelvin, I know you got something for me, brother. Come on.
You know I got something for you. You absolutely know I got something for you. So I don't disagree with the state, but we spend too much energy and talk about what they are not doing and not enough effort on what we should be doing, what we can do. Right?
I agree.
You mentioned about the APR and the compliance issues.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as Marcus rightfully pointed out, this whole APR and compliance piece started back in 2002, and FAMU is like a 3-time offender on this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I can remember at one time when yours truly was actually in the athletics department.
Yes, sir. Speak on.
And there were 3 certified people NCAA certified people who cleaned it up, so to speak.
Yes, indeed.
And so right now, a lot of people don't realize athletics is currently still on. We're not on sanctions, but we still
on probation.
On probation for like 2 more years.
Yep.
So So this has been a chronic problem.
Yep.
And I'm, hey man, we keep it real here. So Dr. Robbins has been the provost and the president most of that time.
Yes, sir.
So I do hear you about the state and FAMU Day at the Capitol, but some people just like goddamn it winning football.
So
brother for those folks who just want to go see a good game, feel good about the money they spend.
I hear you.
Let's make sure we give those students really, and as a sports administrator, those student athletes, man, that's what I care about, man.
Yeah.
They deserve to have the best possible experience that they can have, and that requires that the people who have titles, even though it's unfair, it ain't by accident that we have as many ADs as we've had over the last 20 years.
That's about to be my next point. Keep coming.
Because FAMU expects athletics to do the impossible, and it's not. We keep talking about deficits. We don't have deficits, man. The problem is to have a Division I athletic program, it takes a certain amount of money.
Yep.
And we just need to claim that from the beginning. You talk about things in terms of what the other universities did, but what the board of governors said we can't do. And I hear you, man. I hear you, but I don't buy that one. You know why? Because if I do exactly what they doing across the tracks and it's right for them, then it's right for me. Now you go mess with me, then you got to mess with them. But you got to have at some point you got to take a stand, man.
I'm with you. I hear you, and I challenge you to go back. Like I say, it's a 2018. So Rattler Nation, I pulled it up this past weekend, where it talks about the fact that the president was using his discretionary funds, which is coming from all the different auxiliaries, which he gets to use to say, I'm going to choose to fill a gap. And they said, oh, no, you can't do that anymore. And then all of a sudden, now we have a rolling crisis. And it's like, well, why can't I take the money that we get out of the soda machines and the vending contract to fill this hole that I definitely can't take state money to put into? And as you said, the cost of running a Division I program is so significant, so that when I hear people saying, and Juwan and I said this earlier, when I hear people say, well, why would Willie leave to be a head coach to go be a running back coach? And I'm like, you say you're not leaving, taking a $200,000 a year raise? I said, black people right now will hit you over the head for $50 more. And you telling me that he should say no to $500,000 and less responsibility? Not everybody, every time they say, brother Willie, you need to sit Musa down. He's all they're doing is winning. They're not losing. They're winning, and you're like, oh no, he's not doing it right. He needs to do this. We should have scored more points. And I'm like, the only thing that matters is that they continue to win. We started the season with a hope and a prayer that we would run the table. We would do what we needed to do. We should have beat USF, most definitely. In the same way that we opened the season against North Carolina, and had we had the full amount of players to get past the third quarter, We would have upset North Carolina at North Carolina. I will put that on anybody. Can you think about what the plays that we missed that ended up having us on the other side of getting a loss were that close? And we were not at full strength, and to walk into their house and almost upset them with the dude that's going to get his name called in the first 3 picks at quarterback. Like, can you imagine what our program would have been? So all of that to say, again, I hear you on the responsibility is still in the people in-house. It's been a chronic issue for us. I will even say that there are some rings that we missed because we were on sanction, where we should have been going to bowl games and we should have been going to the playoffs with teams that were ferocious. I mean, absolutely ferocious. So I acknowledge all of those things. My other thing is that what you said about the ADs, I want to say to our community, and I say this with all truth, when Tiffany shows up, coming to be the AD at FAM is not a sexy and fly job. Don't get it twisted. Don't start drinking your own tea when you are literally being embarrassed. And then you're like, no, our job is still great. No, and the cycle of young, progressive thinking ADs have come in, started to move the needle, and then people were like, oh, you're not doing it the way that we want you to do it here, so it's time for you to go. And so when you have that in succession, at a certain point, when it's not 1, not 2, but then potentially 3 people that you're just saying, we don't want what you have. We want some other version of it. You need to get out of here. That becomes, now it's not them, it's us. So I put that out there for the thought of, if people get to a place where they're somehow successful and they push out another AD, I ask the question, who's going to take that job? And this is not to say that we don't have thoroughly qualified candidates in our community that are going to step up. But the damage that we do to ourselves in that process, again, I believe that it's misguided. And this is not me saying that there are not missteps that have happened in this process. I've been thoroughly saddened and disappointed. But I believe that the remedy to this hopefully is going to come in the next week, that we can get somebody in, that we can get someone installed. We can rally around them and have the season that we were on our way to having coming off of this championship run. And I say this on the back end of Willie leaving, is that you always want to leave when you go out on top, because he comes back and comes back this year. If we don't go back to the Celebration Bowl, it's a lost season. People are going to be like, oh, this is why we need to get rid of Willie, coming off a year of being the HBCU national champ. And Brother Marcus, tell me that I'm wrong, because you know it's the truth. The entire season, if the people that are complaining now about where we are in the situation would have also told you that we needed to get rid of Willie, he needed to make changes, and we needed to sit down the quarterback, and we needed to do all of these things that did not affect the fact that we continue to win consistently and really represent the school in a way that we haven't in ages. My last note, this conversation about internal candidate, I think it's laughable, because my history with this beautiful institution goes back to 1988 when I moved from New York to Florida. And I've been going to the Classic ever since. And so I was there when, God bless his soul, Ken Riley was the coach. In my freshman year at homecoming, Southern came into Bragg Stadium and wore us out on homecoming. And I was like, is this supposed to happen? And people were like, nah, this is not how it's supposed to go, brother. But it's going to be all right. We're going to get it together. And to go from that into the success, all of the successful coaches that we had came from outside. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not be confused. When Earl Holmes, an absolute legend of our school, got fired the week of homecoming, I was like, the whole conversation about internal love and the fact that the Rattlers are going to rise up, I was like, we fired a Hall of Fame player the week of home. We didn't even let the brother get in to do the homecoming game, play his game. Hey. We
didn't do that. No. We didn't do that. We didn't do that.
No, brother. The result is that's what happened.
A fool did that.
I say all of that to say that some of the platitudes that people have put out to say this is the most important thing. Nah, brother. The most important thing at our institution is always the fact that you have to be your best. There's an expectation of excellence in what you do and how you conduct yourself. And that is why when Willie came here and that brother came out the gate winning, he took a program that had not won in a long time. People started to actually believe and have pride about this program in a way that we have not had in a long time. So I say all of that to say, I pray that we make the right choice. And I want people to be very, very conscious about these next steps that we take to make sure that we are not pointing the gun at the wrong people.
Okay, Ocean B.
Well said. Just sit back. I see you.
We gonna have a conversation offline.
Brother, you already know. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
But you did articulate some wonderful things and so forth. However, my only response to the overall theme is when you're in a position of leadership.
Yep.
It's also a position of service.
Yes, indeed.
And so you have to understand and have a pulse of what your community.
I agree.
You can't fight everybody. You need some allies, baby.
Brother, I like I say, I fully agree with you on that.
Take the easy W's. It's gonna be at FAMU, as we pointed out. It's a lot of hard decisions for the athletic director.
Yep.
So don't make the easy ones hard.
I hear you. Hey, brothers, I appreciate it. B, I appreciate the time. I'm a yield to everyone else, man. It's good to see y'all. I will check in soon. Hey, yeah, brother Kelvin, hit me up. My number ain't changed, brother. My number ain't changed.
I got you.
All right.
Appreciate your time, O.
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, hey, those opportunities are there. You know, we put out the email address. All you got to do is send an email. You can come in and share your thoughts. We want to try to open up some time and let Rattler Nation talk. And none better than our brother Ocean B. Craig there. All right, let's do this. Let's go schedule. Let's talk about the football schedule. All right. The SWAC, kudos to the SWAC for releasing the conference schedule the other day. I like everything they did with it, the graphics, really trying to engage the master calendar spreadsheet. And by the way, we were on point with pretty much every game. The only one we didn't know was which two, Marcus?
No, V.
Huh?
V, Valley.
Oh, Valley. Yes, that was Valley. Valley was the only one we didn't know. We knew we were able to piece together. I think we even beat Gerald Thomas. Gerald was putting some stuff out there. Nice shout out to Gerald, but we even had some stuff on him. But it was at that point when I realized that the schedule was going to come out, I said, you know what, I'm not going to jump the gun and throw out some stuff. Alabama A&M put some stuff out there that helped seal some things. Then I got word of when Prairie View was going to schedule us. That kind of sealed the deal. The Jackson State rumors were already out there running. So voila, via the SWAC, the conference schedule looked like this. We already knew the Texas Southern homecoming game on November 2nd. We knew Southern was the week before. Again, Alabama A&M and Alabama State released their schedule. We are the homecoming opponent for Alabama State. Alabama A&M released their schedule, so we knew when we were hosting them. The Jackson State, we had heard October 19th. We had heard that, and of course, like I said, we got word about the Prairie View game. So there was your schedule. So Bethune is the host. They're the home team in the Classic. So this is a year where we get 4 SWAC opponents coming in. But I think there are 2 SWAC dates that I think everyone should circle and really keep their eyes on. October 19th is going to be lit. I'm telling you now. That is a Saturday in Jackson. It's well documented. We have not had a great record against Jackson State, and the 3 years of them coming to the state of Florida, and now we're traveling there, and it'll be good. It'll be good to go to their yard, and take some W's from out of there. So we got to show up, Rattler Nation. And then the other game I'm kind of interested in, again, FAMU hasn't been out to Texas. It had been prior to last year. They hadn't been out to Texas since, or at least to Texas to play an HBCU in nearly 50 some odd years. There is a lot of history between Prairie View and FAMU. So the fact that FAMU is traveling to Prairie View, I think is pretty historic. That's pretty historic, I think. So that's good stuff here. And so there's the SWAC schedule I'll put out there for everybody. So again, our full schedule in all glory, 12-game schedule starts with the MEAC SWAC Challenge, Norfolk State. Right now, we are hosting South Carolina State in Tallahassee. Appreciate everybody participating in the poll. 60% of you who voted would love to go play that game in Jacksonville. Then we're down in Miami. We return to Miami, but this time we're playing the University of Miami. We got a bye week. Then we travel up to Troy, Alabama. I feel like that's a close enough game the 100 should be at. I'm going to just call that out now. I'm calling out the 100. Hey, March 100. I want to see you in Troy, Alabama. Is that unrealistic? Is that realistic?
That's about a 2.5 hour, 3 hour top bus ride. Absolutely, It's realistic.
Okay, good. And then of course we start the SWAC season home against Alabama A&M, and then we turn around the following week and travel to Montgomery. Another game that the 100 should be at.
Just another half hour, 45 minutes from Troy.
There you go. So that should be a great 3-game stretch. Look, the Marching 100 plays 3 straight weeks, and they got a bye week.
We got 3 straight Alabama teams.
3 straight Alabama teams too. We get a chance to own the state of Alabama. I think that's 3 wins. I think that can be 3 wins against the state of Alabama.
We gotta get a coach first.
We do got to get a coach first.
But if we keep everything together, and that's what a lot of people missing. Let me just say on the schedule, I like where our bye weeks are placed. We got one right before we go to Jackson, and we got one in between the Troy and the Miami game. So I really like that. Now we do have a kind of long finish. I think 6 games in a row. After that second bye week, but I think we bringing it up enough because our front is tough. We got 2 FBS schools, and so this is why another reason why I'm a proponent of a neutral site classic. Right? We always got all these reasons about why we playing. I don't hear nobody talking about the impact, the economic impact when we going to Troy, or when we went to South Florida and played in Tampa for that guarantee with no expenses. There's always multiple sides to the coin, right? And so all I'm saying is a perfect out of conference schedule in my mind for a program like ours is to have one money game if that's what you want to have. I personally don't like the money games. Have a neutral site classic and a home out of conference game. So I think that's reasonable. In 12 games, we shouldn't ever play 2 FBS programs. We talked about, you just heard Ocean be talking about and myself having that conversation about our athletic budget. At the end of the day, our athletic budget is what it is, right? You talked about how we looked against South Florida and how we looked against North Carolina, right? Man, those teams' football budget alone is $50 to $70 million more than what ours is.
Yep.
So the fact that we actually competing with them with our meager resources is more a testament, frankly, to this internal staff and these players that we have on the squad. we actually have proof in the pudding. We've got the quality of coaching and the quality of talent that allows us to play with teams who budget our triple hours. And by the way, people talked about our best coaches being non-rattlers. Most of them weren't first-year coaches. They were experienced coaches. And I can tell you, Billy Joe, who I've known for a while, Coach Simmons, they applied for the FAMU job multiple times before they got it. When they got the job, they were seasoned. By the way, the internal candidates, not only do they have the qualifications, they've earned it, but none of them are Rattlers. None of them graduated from FAMU. So I just thought I'd just put some facts out there and not no spin because I'm friends with people.
Great question by where's that question I saw regarding Edwin asks, will those 3 trips, the Alabama trips, I'm assuming he's referring to, keep the 100 from going to Jackson? That is a great question, Edwin. I hope not. I hope the 100 goes.
They're not going to make all those trips. There's a financial reason why they're not going to make all those trips.
Which trips? What trips? What trips are you referring to?
All those Alabama trips in Montgomery, and then Jackson. They're going to choose. They're not going to make all those trips.
I don't think the 100 is going to Miami. I'm gonna put it like that. I don't think they're going to Miami.
They should.
They should.
Their expenses, $40,000 ain't gonna cover what they're trying to do.
Would not go for that unless Miami is gonna pay them full expenses to travel. I do think the Troy and Montgomery games are closer trips, and they're day trips. I mean, I think you could go and come back. I really do. Am I unrealistic?
No, you're absolutely right. But when have they name one time they ever done that?
Okay, you got me there.
Okay.
Well, if that's the case, then I would just look. I do know that there is a history between the Marching 100 and Prairie View. If the 100 doesn't go to Jackson, which I think would be as sad if the 100 doesn't go to Jackson, I really think that's sad. They got to go to Prairie View. There's history with Prairie View, the band and Prairie View, and the Marching 100. And so I think what was the for? What's the for, Marcus?
History don't pay the bills.
Well,
and I'm not saying that it wouldn't be a good trip, but I don't know.
How does the band travel anyway? So what? Okay, look, we got to get into this. I feel like we always got to get into this. I'm just gonna stop asking for the band to go anywhere. I mean, hell.
Well, no,
no, but
how many trips did they make last year?
You got to talk about what how you pay for that, right?
Okay, that's where I was going. I feel like we got to have that discussion every.
I mean,
talking
the
about
the university has to find the funding for it if it's not part of a guarantee. And if I was king and I'm in the athletic department and I'm negotiating for classics, I'm negotiating for athletics. The band got to negotiate their own side deal. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't afford it. We can't afford to take guaranteed money and away from athletics and use it for auxiliaries.
That's not true, Hollow. That's not true. Prairie View did come to Bragg. They did. They came to Bragg. SWAC championship game. Did you forget already?
But not the regular season. That's what he's getting at. You know what he's saying, Brian.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said. I'm just stating facts.
We played them twice.
I'm just saying
they didn't come to homecoming.
It was homecoming. Come on now. All right.
Now I'll say one thing about the schedule. Not necessarily about the schedule itself, but the release. What I was hoping for, and I think Grambling may have done it, good friend of the program and Rattler alum, Curtis Ford. Every year in the NBA, depending on your favorite NBA team in the NFL, they have schedule release videos that they make tongue in cheek, make it kind of funny to kind of release the schedule. And I know they have bigger budgets, but I was hoping we would do something like that. And when I say we, I mean FAMU specifically. But if we knew there was going to be a release date, then some of the other schools and some of the other schools did. I think Jackson had a video. It looked like it was a drone footage or some stuff. I saw Grambling's, and I think I saw someone else's. And so, and I know we had one released with Kelvin Dean.
Hey, you didn't like Kelvin Dean sitting on the throne? You didn't like that, Marcus?
It served its purpose.
You can say no. I'm messing with you. You can say hell no. That was weak.
It served its purpose, but I was hoping, for something a little more.
You wanted us to get some rec center kids and do some drawings on some paper like what Grambling did. That's what you were looking for.
No. Just the creative minds between all the folks that we have at our collective HBCUs doing something kind of similar to what we would see on a schedule release at the NFL, NBA, because we talked a lot about social media's impact and all the creatives and everything. And I think this is a grand opportunity, especially for the reigning SWAC champs, to do something that would create a lot of buzz. And
if we had a coach,
we had a schedule release from one of our star players, and it served its purpose.
If we had a coach, we could have had the coach doing something. But we don't have
go look at some of the schedule release videos from the NFL and NBA from last year.
I know
and the creativity.
I know what you're talking about. I know. I'm being messy. I will say, I think I don't know who it was in the Jackson State video. Who was that supposed to be? Was that supposed to be 3-6 Mafia? Is that who that was in the video that they did? The two brothers at the beginning of the video. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Grambling probably maybe was the most creative because they did get the rec center kids to draw the little cartoon characters or I guess, if we're giving props to schools for what they did, theirs was probably the most creative. It is what it is. There's the SWAC matrix.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. In all its glory. It's good to see that in the first month of the season, we don't have any SWAC games. It's kind of refreshing to look at that and kind of see. Of course, those of you who are looking at it, you see the red neutral site games.
Wow. Looking at PV, they got 3 straight divisional games in the first month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but let me see. Are those 1, 2, 3?
Mm-hmm. All in SWAC West.
Those are SWAC games. Prairie View and Southern. But see, the thing that throws that matrix off is like you see that first weekend 8/31. Well, technically the season starts 9/21, so that's like a week later. That's actually week.
Well, yeah, that's true.
What is that?
Well, they still have 3 divisional games within the first month of the season.
Yeah. Again, the SWAC, the great drama. The SWAC schedulers were pretty smart this year. In October, you've got 10 teams playing October 26th. And then what I really like is the last 3 weeks or the next 3 weeks after that. So right there at the heart of November, when the conference divisions, I think, are going to be decided, you've got a full SWAC schedule. 3 straight weeks, 6 games. So there's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching. There's going to be a lot of guessing as to who's going to do what. Obviously, in that final 3 weeks, they're hosting Texas Southern and Valley, traveling to Prairie View. Actually, 4 of FAMU's last 5 SWAC games are all within the state of Florida. That's the one positive I like. So, you guys have any thoughts there about the matrix? Anything you see there that kind of catches your eye? That's kind of like interesting.
No.
Nope.
The West got a bunch of new coaches, and so we don't know what those teams gonna look like. The East looks to be stronger. We don't know what we're gonna look like. So we the wild card at this point. I think both Florida schools, us and Cookman, are probably the wild card in the East. So yeah. I think every week it's gonna be competitive, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Po Valley, and Pine Bluff, Mississippi Valley, because they always have that backloaded schedule from the middle of October on back, where they're playing all the big dogs, and while they got young coaches, they got coaches who trying to do the best they can. That whole talk we just had about resources.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be tough.
Well, the crazy part for Jackson State, I'm looking at their schedule with Texas Southern, Alabama A&M. Then after us, they've got Bethune, UAPB, Valley. I mean, that's 5 below 500 teams right there.
Yeah, Alcorn definitely got in my opinion, the most balanced schedule and the best start, because they ease into it with Pine Bluff and Valley and Grambling. They don't have JSU and Prairie to the end.
Right.
So it's their games are not necessarily back to back, and it's kind of spread out. So they got the most balanced schedule out of all the SWAC schools.
I agree. All right. You guys let us know your thoughts in the chats. Who do you or who what do you like about our schedule? What do you like?
It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the schedule for 2025, the process already begins.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We only need one more game.
For
2025, we only need one more game. Yeah, because we already got was it South Alabama? I want to say USF,
South Carolina State,
State. And I think USF.
USF or
I can't
Florida.
Oh, Florida. I'm sorry, Florida. So we already got 3 other out of conference games, and all of them are away. So we need to either have a neutral site or a home out of conference game, and we already got the 8 SWAC games. We just don't know the dates. So we only got one game left to schedule for 2025. We just have to figure out who it is and where it's being played.
Right.
And what level of competition, but we're already playing 2 FBSs 2 FBSs, so it's got to be either a FCS or a D2.
Okay. Let me shift over quickly here so we can get ready to shut it down. Our women's basketball team got their first road win of the season at Mississippi Valley State. They had to come from behind. They had to win 62-55, outscoring Valley 22-13 in the fourth quarter. Ariana Grizzle, that's Grizzle, not Grizzly. Grizzle scores 23 points in playing all 40 minutes. Sick. Olivia Delancey with 14. Haley Brennan scored 9. The Rattlers, how about this? The Lady Rattlers in conference play, fellas, are 2-3. Damn, it's been a long time since we've been that close to 500 or better in conference play. And I look, I know it's early. I know it's only 5 games in, and I know that's saying a lot, but you got to take these moments and appreciate them while you got them. Because
it's fair, because we played 4 of the top 5 teams in the
Yep.
conference right now. The only one we haven't played yet is Jackson State.
Yeah.
And we had opportunity to win 2 of those 3 games we lost. So we were very competitive. So it's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, the UAPB game on Saturday. I thought that was a, look, we were
fourth quarter.
Yeah, fourth quarter. We were within 4 or 5 points, and then I blinked and it was like a double-digit lead, and it was like, what just happened? It is what it is. It is what it is. They the men
blew a lead against Valley.
Man, well, but they won though. The men won.
I mean, blew a lead against Pine Bluff. I'm sorry.
Yeah. How about they get for the second time this season, flirting with giving up 100.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They gave up 98 to Bethune, 99 to UAPB. And look, I mean, those are 2 teams that play at a high pace. They really do. I knew about UAPB's pace. But damn, we gave up. I mean, McCullum's got to be like losing sleep at the defense.
Feed the post.
Giving up 99. Thankfully, the men turned around and got an 81-70 victory over Valley. That was their first conference win, first road win of the season. Jalen Spear had a team high 19 points. Shannon Grant dropped in 17. Keith Lamar 12. KJ Parker had 10. Pretty good production there. And then you had a guard, Roger Coffey, that got 8 rebounds. That's kind of unexpected. Yeah, so good performance by the men. And so hopefully that was
a game they had to win. I don't know about how good a performance was, but the bottom line was they needed the W.
Well, look, Valley is going into the game. Valley was 0-18 and 0-5. That's a game that if you lose that game, you might be coming back to Tallahassee on a dare I say a coach flight. Might not be on the university dime. I'm just saying that would have been a tough one. That's all I'll say. But we move forward, and coming into town this weekend, Alcorn State, the Braves coming into the contest, so the men and women. I don't quite know what the standings are, but should be a good one. Make sure you're in the house 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Say hey to Kelvin when you see him. Make sure you say hey, because I know he'll be there. No telling if I'll do a watch party over the weekend. I doubt it because I got a game this weekend, so I don't think I'll be doing a watch party thing. But I will encourage you guys to go buy Rattler Plus and watch the games. Buy the monthly package. Don't buy the day package. The monthly package is a better deal. I mean, the day is like $6.99. The month is $9.99. It makes more sense to just buy the monthly package, right?
Yes.
Yeah. As it relates to track, Kirk Dawkins earned his first career SWAC weekly award. He's a sophomore. This was at the Carolina Challenge. He finished second place in the 800 meters with a 1 minute 53 second 0.65 time. It is currently the fastest time in the SWAC in the 800. And he's also part of the men's 4x400 relay that won 4th place with a time of 3 minutes 16 seconds 0.46, which is the 3rd fastest time in the SWAC. and these are the indoor numbers. So the Rattlers are off from competing this particular weekend. They will be in Columbia, South Carolina, February 2nd through the 3rd at the South Carolina Invite. Yeah. Last piece of news. Running backs coach Marcus Wyndham. He's going to be coaching in the Reese's Senior Bowl. The Reese's Senior Bowl, excuse me. It's I believe it's the second year that he has been invited to do that. I think there are maybe four other coaches from out of the HBCUs that'll be at the Reese's Senior Bowl, including Sean Gibbs. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Great conversations that'll be. As well as Larry Scott and Rod Milstead. Yeah, that'll be interesting. All right. Anything I left off of the roundup? Anything else that you wanted, guys, that we need to say before we shut it down?
One quick thing.
No, I think go ahead.
We did get a verbal commit from wide receiver from Niceville High School. It's like 6'3", 195. Looks kind of ripped. I think it's Caden Bridgman Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to visit a couple times during the season. So he's a big dude.
Marcus, of the names that signed, have you got a maybe just by number how many guys who committed back in that early period? How many of those guys still remain with their commitments? Are you tracking that stuff?
I don't have a number off the top of my head, but I know we lost Sage Ellis, the tight end, Rodney Hill, running back. At least 4. We lost offensive lineman from Florida State who verbally committed. I don't think they signed, but they verbally committed. I think the only signee was Sage Ennis. He's the only one, and the linebacker from Michigan State who's from Georgia. He decommitted this week. I don't know if he's committed anywhere else. So maybe he might
lose wide receiver to Coach Riz in Colorado.
Well, he decommitted a little while ago.
Oh, I got you.
Keon Brown.
Yeah.
He was a transfer. He went to Oklahoma, he signed with Oklahoma last 2022, and they ended up going to JUCO, and he verbally committed to us early in the fall. But there was some hint, on some of his social media that he was kind of pulling back a little bit. And he's got an offer from Colorado. I don't know if he's committed yet, but once he started weaning back, and then, Coach Riz went out there, that was kind of knew that was coming.
Well, the good thing is that our signees, as well as our returning players so far, are still with us and putting in the work and being led. And like I say, if we don't go totally off the rails here, we got a heck of a team returning, to be honest. We really do. We have all the trappings right now of being able to run it back. But a lot does hinge on what happens this week. I think we'll probably have a name probably sometime this weekend.
And to your point, Kelvin, with the way college is going now, we basically have another free agency period right after spring practice. Now, I don't know to what degree, if there's any players who get pushed out, because you're seeing like the Alabama thing where people are just like, okay, Saban retired and they're already jumping it. This is, for lack of a better term, the team that's been the best college football team in the last 10 years.
Yeah, they've lost about 25 players already.
Yeah, and even before this, when we were talking, I think right before our Celebration Bowl, we had talked about just the portal itself, and that Georgia had upwards of 20 people in the portal. And we're talking probably maybe the second or third best team over the last 5 or 6 years. So it's not necessarily the trappings of being the best team, is the best situation. So there could be a lot of folks who may be ripe for the picking, for lack of a better term, after spring practice when the second transfer window opens, for whoever our coach happens to be to fill in any gaps. And we know that we're already losing like 25, 30 players due to just sheer graduation, because we had a lot of seniors, like 30 plus seniors. And then on top of that, some of the transfers going out. And we already knew the defensive line right after we knew that was going to be heavily hit, just based on our own roster analysis from that. So we know we have some things that need to get shored up there.
You on mute, Brian?
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, am I?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, did the FAU quarterback stay?
As far as we know,
yeah, he signed.
As far as we know, we haven't seen any evidence of him bouncing.
All right. Just looking to see if there's anything else in the chat. Got to give a shout out again to thank our guest, Andrew Whigham and Michael David of the First Strike group. Again, there's the email address if you would like to reach out to them. That's the First Strike group, firststrike1987 at yahoo.com. We'll try to we'll have them on next week, and then we can kind of talk about maybe showing you guys some visuals of what they're proposing. Also thank Coach Nikki for coming on, talking about the upcoming season. You guys make sure to check out that link. Again, I'm going to post it one more time.
And while you posting that, let me just say, I remember a question earlier when Osha B was on, where I believe someone asked, didn't they change the rules back? First of all, they never changed in the rules. What the Board of Governors did was put out a memo that stated what they preferred in terms of using auxiliary dollars in athletics. And during that 2-year period of time, they found out what I've been saying, what we've been saying the whole time. All the universities use auxiliary dollars to cover athletic expenses. So therefore, they did come back and rescind that memo back in, I think it was May of 2023, so that universities do have the flexibility to use auxiliary dollars for covering athletic expenses after with any surplus. So yes.
Alrighty. Just kind of looking here. Got to thank everybody on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Appreciate you watching and being a part of the show. Thank you, everybody in the chats. I don't think Doc had to snipe anybody. I don't think she knocked anyone out of the chat. Although I don't know, because I haven't seen certain people in a while, so maybe they either logged off or maybe she did block them. I get text messages the next day. Why'd I get blocked? I'll be like, man, look, because you must have said something.
I did see Doc say, "Don't invite them back no more."
I think that was for your man that came on.
Well,
she wasn't really feeling what he was talking about.
Yeah, look, that's all right. Oh, wait a minute. So she did snipe. She did send some people to the timeout corner. I knew it had got quiet in the chat room, man. I know there were some folks there, and then all of a sudden, it's like it got quiet, man. I told you, Doc, you gotta chill. You gotta let people. I don't know. But whatever.
You're doing a great job. You're
Yeah,
doing a
you're doing
great job, Doc. I appreciate you.
Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Keep doing your thing, Doc. I love you. Appreciate you for even volunteering to do that. Appreciate you. All right, Rattler Nation, please go support the tennis program with that fundraising link. Make sure you email the First Strike group.
We've got to get a track one out too. He did send the
Did
QR code. Yeah, he sent it to me. I sent it. I resent it to you.
And again, I'm gonna say this now because it's at this time of the night. I am bothered by the fact that our coaches have to do what our department should be doing. I honestly was not expecting coach to say she's fundraising so that we can create and get a streaming system online for the games to be streamed. My God, what are we doing? That is, if that's not an infrastructure issue, I mean, hell, and really what we're talking about is going out and getting the software probably that high schools across the country use. You see it advertised on Instagram. It's probably the Go Fan or the Go Huddle cameras that are mounted several feet up in the air, and that'll scan from one game to the next. Or maybe they'll be situated at each court. But whatever it is, I don't feel like our coaches should be doing that. Our coaches shouldn't be out fundraising to put cameras up at the courts and at the softball field and the baseball field. I mean, I guess if that's what it takes, okay.
Yeah, I applaud them for doing what they have to do for their programs, and
I do too.
And so the president and the AD, y'all do what y'all have to do too.
Man, so let's support. We got it. Look, I love the fact that it's like let's make it happen. I think that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm seeing now, Kelvin. Our coaches are taking it upon themselves now. Now I don't know what that says.
Now they're seasoned veterans. Now the coaches we talking about, think about it. You know, they've got multiple years coaching in the coaching profession within the HBCU landscape, and two of them specifically at FAM, and then one just at several HBCUs. So, you know, people who want to win, champions, they do what they got to do. They shouldn't have to do it, but they do what they have to do.
All right. I was just looking to see if there's been any movement. All right, folks, let's go make a difference here for the tennis program. Trying to raise $10,000. We got 16 days to do it. Let's all find a way. Yeah, we got boosters. I'd love for the boosters to be a part of it, but I think the boosters are involved in this search and trying to help finish this search for a football coach. So,
well, I mean, you can chew bubblegum and walk at the same time, man. You know, you should be able to do two things. Number one, and not saying they're not, but we you know, that's why First Strike and what they were talking about is important.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't want nobody to come on here and, you know, and poo-poo and say we got to do this, we got to do that, man. All that sound, all I hear is what I call a sitter. Folks who just want to take everything that people bring to the table and sit on it. They ain't gonna never do nothing with it. Yeah. But they ain't gonna bring nothing to the table themselves.
That's true.
I can't stand, and I don't want to hear nothing, you know, about, you know, sitting on something. You got to do this, you got to check this out. No, get out of your butt. Let's work together and let's do what we can. Let's have some action. Let's do. And start talking about we got to check this out. No, that's part of the process anyway. All right, go ahead. I'm through.
Marcus, give me a name. Who's gonna be named the head football coach at the end of the week?
Are you putting that on me?
I am. We're gonna all throw a name out. Come on, let's go. Name. We're all gonna throw a name.
Couldn't Tang.
Who? What did he say?
Pudding Tang. Ask me again, I tell you the same.
I'm gonna go with Coach Cozy.
Oh, okay.
I do have a 1B, but I don't want to get banned by Dr.
Oh my goodness. All right, who you got, Kelvin? Come on, throw a name.
Smitty Rock.
All right, Fred McNair.
That was my 1B.
Things will happen. Surprise me. I love to be wrong, but unfortunately, I might be right. We'll see.
All right.
We'll find out.
All right. Play with Rattlers Nation if you want to.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
Hey,
you can have all the media friends you want to.
We might have met our match. Rattler Nation might have met their match.
See why you did that.
I'm sorry.
That was unnecessary.
That was unnecessary. It was. I didn't write it though. I didn't put it out there. Somebody else wrote it. I'm just reading the headlines.
She's going to get 100 more emails or messages. They probably done turned off messages on that post because they were giving her the business.
Really? Well.
Oh yeah.
Hey, she had a few media friends backing her, so they gotta. It's all good. It's all good. Everybody has to have
I do have a quick question, even though it's not comparative, it's apples to oranges. But Texas A&M, did they have a coach on the hook? And they I don't know, something with the booster. And he's like, get off the plane, and they hired a guy away from Duke. And we don't know if we have enough people in Texas A&M, but did it blow up as much as our story?
No,
or maybe we're just hypersensitive to it because we're FAMU fans, and so that's all we watching. And maybe for Texas A&M, they had the same level.
Our drama has lasted longer. Our
coaching search has lasted longer.
It hasn't quite lasted as long as Texas Southern.
No, not Texas Southern. Texas A&M.
Right, but what I'm saying.
I know. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. The Texas A&M, they said no, and then guess what? The next day they went and got their guy.
But you know why? They stroking checks.
They got money.
The decision is easy when you got the resources. They're like, hell no, we ain't paying for that guy. We're gonna pay for this guy. And they switched course.
Yeah, thank you, Jawanza. I think it was Stoops. Wasn't it Mike Stoops from Kentucky? He was on the hook to be Texas A&M's next coach, and they said stop the plane, leave it on the tarmac and go get the guy from Duke.
Yeah.
And they already, they got to cut Jimbo at $70 million check over some time because they said you're not earning your keep, so we're just gonna pay you to go away.
Yeah, I think it's like 40 million over the next 3 years or 5 years or something like that. Yeah. Florida State just got through in January, made their last payment to Willie Taggart. Believe it or not.
Really?
This month, it was their last payment.
Willie Taggart's available.
Yeah, I was worried about it. I was worried about the list.
Kelvin. Is that why you said that, Kelvin? I catch the hint. I don't
know nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, okay. Now I got to go back and look at my research on Willie Taggart.
Yeah, Tony Mathers. That question is that's been in the back of my mind too. Like, if you have a lot of folks angling for the same job, and if one of them gets it and the others don't, how much? Are they gonna stay around?
What do you mean? If a current coach from last year's team,
basically, if one of the in-house,
if
one of the in-house coaches gets it, but three or four people applied for it, are the other coaches still gonna stay?
I think there's a relationship there. I think everybody want to run it back. There's no guarantees, of course not.
Mm-hmm.
But this late in the coaching cycle, I think the fact that all four of them, I think some of that was strategic, that the four of them actually put their name in the hat, knowing that they had an opportunity to make the final list. That's what you do. You kind of flood the applicant pool. So that strategy wise, that was smart too. But I would say there's a very good chance that would happen, but there's no guarantee. I could easily see at least one falling out potentially.
All right. Let's pick up this show and get out of here. Thank you to everybody for being with us this evening. You be well. Strike hard where you can, but strike wisely. And just think before you press send. I'm gonna start doing that a little more. Think before you press send. It's not a bad policy.
You can always on Twitter. You can hit cancel and it'll save it in your drafts.
Look at you, Marcus.
It'll
you
save
you got a lot of stuff in your drafts, Marcus. I bet you got a lot of stuff out there.
There's a couple.
All right. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button on the way out the door, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Check out the BCSN Pod Zone podcast version of this show. You could all do us a solid. Share the show, please. Whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on YouTube, share the show with your network and your friends.
Instagram.
Tell a Rattler who might have missed us. And there we go. What did you say, Marcus? What did I miss?
Oh, no, Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Instagram. Shout out to the Instagram people as well. Following us on Instagram, watching the show on Instagram. The conversation will continue. If we get some new breaking news, we'll find a way to talk about it. I don't know if it'll be live, but we'll find a way. All right. For Marcus and Kelvin, thanks to all our guests for joining us today. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Have a great week and a great weekend. Get to Tallahassee. Support our men and women's team playing Alcorn State on Saturday. And if not, go download the Rattler Plus and watch them. Peace out, Rattler Nation. Things up.